Chapter 41. Lu Ping, who had returned from a rewarding journey, was still immersed in immense joy and was at a loss as to what to do next. His Tao heart, which he had maintained for so long, could no longer remain calm. Lu Ping sat in his cultivation room for an entire day, but he still couldn't calm down. Thinking back to the days when he wanted to split a spirit stone in half and spend it, Lu Ping could no longer keep his emotions in check. He fell into memories of the past. As time passed, Lu Ping finally remembered the day when he broke through to the 8th layer of the blood-refining realm. When Master Immortal Lu asked him what was the purpose of his cultivation, Lu Ping resolutely answered, "Longevity. No matter which one it is, it's a plausible reason. But in the end, only this one is the most practical and the most immortal. All the other reasons will fade away with time, but this is the only reason that will last forever." When Master Immortal Lu heard Lu Ping's answer, he laughed heartily, feeling gratified. Lu Ping's dazed eyes finally became clear again. "I cultivate for the sake of longevity. Even though this wealth is something I've never seen before, it's ultimately just an illusion to me on the path to longevity. Wasn't that Master Immortal Shang Tao the owner of this wealth? I just need to convert this wealth into resources for my cultivation and accumulate it into my cultivation. One day, I'll be able to achieve a breakthrough and reach a new realm." After understanding the importance of the matter, Lu Ping became calm and collected. He returned to his previous intense and rhythmic cultivation. After the battle of life and death, Lu Ping's willpower and physical potential had significantly improved. With the help of sufficient blood-solidifying pills and blood vigor pills, his cultivation quickly broke through to the mid-stage of the 9th layer and was rapidly approaching the peak of the 9th layer. At the same time, the strength of his transcendence energy also increased. After the battle with the sea snake monster, Lu Ping tasted the benefits of having a strong transcendence energy. Therefore, he continued to use the pills to strengthen his foundation. Now, Lu Ping's cultivation could be said to be extravagant. Every day, he would hold 4 spirit stones in his hand and sit on the spirit-gathering praying mat he obtained from Lin Sheng. Because he had obtained 3 bottles of blood vigor pills on the island, Lu Ping's cultivation had rocketed in the past 3 months with the help of the blood vigor pills. With this kind of cultivation, it was no wonder that Lu Ping's cultivation improved by leaps and bounds. 3 months later, Lu Ping arrived at Xinqi Island and learned that Senior Yao Yong was preparing to break through to the blood condensation realm. In the cultivation world, the celebration after a breakthrough was not important. Instead, the accumulation before the breakthrough was more important. Therefore, every cultivator would receive gifts from their family and friends before their breakthrough. Since Yao Yong had accumulated enough, he decided to break through on Xinqi Island. There were many Master Immortals on the island, so safety was not a problem. Everyone in Group 7 went to visit Yao Yong and gave him their gifts. Du Feng gave him 5 blood vigor pills. No one knew where he got them from. Shi Lingling gave Yao Yong a bottle of blood-solidifying pills. The other seniors also gave him medicinal pills, spirit stones, mystic artifacts, talismans, and so on. Lu Ping remembered his experience in breaking through to the 8th layer blood-refining realm during the disciple competition and the warning from Lin Sheng and the others. On the surface, he gave Yao Yong a mid-grade spirit stone. Secretly, he called Yao Yong to the side and gave him a spirit-gathering hassock. Yao Yong was very grateful to see such a valuable gift. He said to Lu Ping, "I prepared 2 blood-condensing pills this time. My family also prepared a batch of pills for me. With my own accumulation and Master Immortal Lu's protection, I already have a 70% chance of breaking through. Junior Martial Brothers hassock will add another 50% to my confidence." Lu Ping was shocked. With Senior Martial Brothers accumulation, you only have a 70% chance of breaking through? Why do you need 2 blood-condensing pills? Don't we only need 1 blood-condensing pill to break through to the blood condensation realm? Yao Yong looked at Lu Ping in surprise. He smiled and said, "Junior Martial Brother, you spend most of your time cultivating and rarely interact with others. You're not from a family, so it's no wonder you don't know. The blood-condensing pill isn't even necessary for a cultivator to break through to the blood condensation realm. Some geniuses can even break through to the blood condensation realm directly. However, less than 10% of cultivators can break through to the blood condensation realm with the help of a blood-condensing pill. The blood-condensing pill only increased the chances of breaking through to the blood condensation realm. For some cultivators, due to their accumulation, the competition between the 7 bloodlines would become more intense during the breakthrough. The longer the breakthrough would take, the higher the chances of failure would be. When that happened, a single blood-condensing pill would not be enough to satisfy the cultivator's needs. Hence, multiple blood-condensing pills were needed. Even though the blood-condensing pill was a blood condensation realm pill, it required 24 types of 500-year-old spiritual herbs. These herbs had harsh conditions to grow, and their rarity was no less than a 1,000-year-old spiritual herb. This made the blood-condensing pill extremely valuable. Although it was only sold for 2,000 spirit stones on the market, in reality, there was no market for it. After listening to Yao Yong's explanation, Lu Ping realized that his thinking was too simple. Lu Ping believed that his arcane energy wasn't any weaker than Yao Yong's. In fact, it was far superior. Under such circumstances, Lu Ping believed that Yao Yong's preparations were foolproof. If Yao Yong only had a 70% chance of success, then didn't that mean that Lu Ping didn't even have a 50% chance of success? Lu Ping didn't know how he got out of Yao Yong's cultivation room. He was too careless. He thought that Lu Ping would have a high chance of breaking through to the blood condensation realm with the spiritual herbs he needed to exchange for the blood-condensing pill, sufficient pills and spirit stones, and the inheritance of alchemist Shang Tao. Now, Lu Ping realized that he was wrong, and it was a huge mistake. The difference between him and Yao Yong wasn't cultivation resources, but the accumulation of knowledge and experience from thousands of years of cultivation. Yao Yong's family would teach Lu Ping everything he needed to take note of when breaking through to the blood condensation realm. Lu Ping, on the other hand, had to find his own way. Lu Ping had been constantly warning himself in the face of his recent harvests, but he still underestimated the difficulty of breaking through to the blood condensation realm. The so-called self-warning that he was biting off more than he could chew was born in his heart. Lu Ping finally understood the gap between him and Yao Yong. Even though he was about to reach the peak of the 9th layer blood refining realm, he still had a long way to go. Lu Ping finally understood why there were tens of thousands of disciples in Jinling's sect who had reached the 9th layer blood refining realm, but only a few dozen of them managed to break through to the blood condensation realm every year. After understanding the problem, Lu Ping pulled himself together and used the teleportation formation to go to the side yards marketplace to buy some pills and other cultivation resources. He also sold 4 low-grade mystic artifacts that he didn't need to the multi-treasure pavilion. The remaining 3 low-grade mystic artifacts were all used by Lu Ping as a blood sacrifice. Other than that, including the miscellaneous items he obtained from the Xinling sect disciples, he earned a total of 400 spirit stones. Lu Ping still hadn't dealt with Lin Sheng's belongings because he didn't know how powerful Lin Sheng's family was. It would be bad if Lin Sheng's family tracked him down through the mystic artifacts he sold. Initially, Lu Ping still had some matters to attend to. But after some thought, he turned around and returned to the teleportation array. This time, he didn't return to Xinqi Island. Instead, he went to Dikuan Island, where the blood refining realm auction would be held 3 months later. Chapter 42. Dikuan Island was one of the 36 medium-sized islands under Jinling's jurisdiction. The island had a radius of 200 miles, and there was a small spirit vein and a small spirit stone mine on the island. It was said that there was more than 1 core forging enlightened master stationed on the island. Dikuan Island and the dozens of smaller islands under its jurisdiction were located in the sea region that was relatively rich in resources. Its geographical location was close to Xinling sect, and it was not far from the medium-sized sects like Songhai sect and Feiyu sect. Its unique location attracted a large number of cultivators to gather on Dikuan Island, creating a bustling market. Lu Ping walked on the streets of the market and looked at the cultivators passing by. Due to the fact that cultivators were not allowed to fly in the market, blood condensation realm cultivators and even core forging enlightened masters were common on Dikuan Island. The scale of the market here was much larger than the one in Jinling side courtyard. Naturally, the shops in the market were of a higher standard. The reason why Lu Ping came to Dikuan Island earlier was to settle some matters. He didn't want to expose some of his secrets when he attended the auction 3 months later with his fellow disciples from Group 7. Lu Ping first went to Jinling's pill sales pavilion. As the host of this place, Jinling's business naturally occupied the best location in the market. As soon as Lu Ping entered the shop, a blood-refining realm disciple came up to him and asked, "What do you need, senior martial brother?" Of course, Lu Ping didn't dare to be arrogant here. He said, "Senior martial brother, can I trouble you to invite a manager of the pavilion here? I have something to discuss with him." The disciple was surprised by Lu Ping's words, but he didn't say anything. He just nodded and walked to the back of the pavilion. A moment later, the shop assistant came out and said, "Senior martial brother, the pavilion master wants to see you. Please follow me." Lu Ping followed the shop assistant to the back of the pavilion. An old blood condensation realm cultivator was sitting in the room. Lu Ping quickly stepped forward and said, "Junior Lu Ping greets Senior Immortal." The old cultivator looked at Lu Ping and said with a smile, "A disciple of another courtyard? The old man's surname is Li, and he's one of the managers here. I heard from the waiter that you're looking for me." Lu Ping saw that the waiter had already left, so he said, "Immortal Elderly, Junior was lucky enough to gather 8 spirit herbs needed to refine the blood-condensing pill. I've come to exchange them for the blood-condensing pill from the sect." Master Immortal Li, who was initially indifferent, looked at Lu Ping with admiration. "Oh, not bad. Take it out and let me see." It wasn't easy for a blood-refining realm disciple to gather all 8 spiritual herbs. If it wasn't for the support of one's clan, one would have to possess extraordinary cultivation, wisdom, means, and luck. This rule was set by the sect. Most of the time, blood condensation realm cultivators would be the ones to exchange for the blood refinement realm cultivators. Lu Ping took out 6 jade boxes from his interspatial pouch and opened them one by one. There were 2 spiritual herbs of the same type, and they were placed in the same box by Lu Ping. Master Immortal Li was obviously an expert in identifying spiritual herbs. After looking through the 6 jade boxes, he nodded in satisfaction. 8 spiritual herbs. Their age and spiritual energy are all intact. They're well preserved. I can exchange them for the blood-condensing pill. Lu Ping was overjoyed, but Master Immortal Li continued. But Lu Ping's heart tightened. Master Immortal Li looked at Lu Ping's nervous expression. Lu Ping looked like a mischievous child. He chuckled and said, "Young man, don't worry. The blood-condensing pill won't be missing. However, you should know that the sect has strict control over every blood-condensing pill. Therefore, the blood-condensing pill won't be placed in the elixir sales pavilion. Instead, the manager of the elixir sales pavilion will go to the sect's elixir refinement pavilion to retrieve it." Only then did Lu Ping relax. He asked, "How long will it take?" Master Immortal Li pondered for a moment. 3 days from now, the old man will need to return to the sect. When he returns, he can bring back the blood-condensing pill. 3 days later, Lu Ping should have already returned to Huangli Island. Although he could apply for leave, Lu Ping subconsciously didn't want others to know that he had the blood-condensing pill. He didn't even want Master Immortal Lu to take care of the blood-condensing pill for him before he broke through to the blood condensation realm. Thus, Lu Ping could only helplessly say, "Since that's the case, this junior will come to collect it during the auction in 3 months." Master Immortal Li said, "That's good too. However, there will be too many people there. You need to be careful." Lu Ping nodded and thanked Master Immortal Li. Just as he was about to leave, he recalled his encounter at the side courtyard's market. Lu Ping stopped in his tracks. He turned around and asked Master Immortal Li, "This junior also wants to purchase some high-grade pills for blood-refining realm cultivation. Do you have them for sale here?" Master Immortal Li was taken aback by Lu Ping's question. He smiled and said, "Where did you get the news that our store sells high-grade blood-refining realm pills other than the blood essence pill?" Hearing this, Lu Ping knew he had asked the right person. Without hiding anything, he told Master Immortal Li about his encounter at the side courtyard's market. As Lu Ping's cultivation and arcane energy increased, even the blood-solidifying pill couldn't fully satisfy Lu Ping's needs. Due to the taboo of medicinal toxins, Lu Ping was unwilling to use 2 pills a day to cultivate. Thus, he could only focus on improving the quality of the pills. Master Immortal Li laughed and said, "Suzy Xian, this guy is quite interesting. However, you should know that although I have more pills than the side courtyard's market, there are more cultivators in the Decoen market. So, if you only need a few pills, don't ask. Hearing this, Lu Ping was overjoyed. May I know how many bottles of Blood Vigor pills Senior can provide every month? Master immortally glared at Lu Ping and said, How many bottles? How can I have so many? It's already good enough to distribute one bottle every month. Even so, you still have to cut off the supply of a few rogue cultivators who only buy 2 or 3 pills every month. Lu Ping couldn't care less and quickly settled the matter. Then, please give this junior 3 months' worth of Blood Vigor pills. After spending nearly 600 spirit stones to exchange for 3 bottles of Blood Vigor pills, Lu Ping left the pill store. He asked around for the location of the auction and headed there. The auction venue was not too far from the elixir sales pavilion. It was located in the center of the market and was jointly owned by the Jinling sect and the Store of Many Treasures. This was how the Store of Many Treasures started their business with many forces in the North Sea. In fact, auctions were often held in the auction house. However, the scale of the auctions varied according to the cultivation level. For example, this large-scale auction was only held once a year for blood refining realm disciples. When Lu Ping arrived at the auction house's main hall, a low-level blood refining realm cultivator came forward and asked, Fellow Taoist, are you going to participate in the auction or sell something? Lu Ping was surprised. Is there an auction happening now? The cultivator replied, Not right now, but our auction house often holds auctions. It's just that the size and type of the auctions vary. There are often cultivators who don't know when the auction will be held. From the looks of it, fellow Taoist wants to sell something. Are you going to participate in the auction 3 months from now? Lu Ping nodded. The cultivator then asked, What kind of item does fellow Taoist want to sell? Lu Ping answered, Mystic instruments. The cultivator said, Then please come this way. However, for this auction, you must at least have a mid-grade mystic instrument to qualify for sale. Lu Ping nodded. He had a total of 7 mid-grade mystic instruments. Other than the stone pagoda, flying swallow sword, a flying mystic instrument, and a flaming fan he obtained from a Xianling sect disciple yesterday, Lu Ping planned to sell all of the flying sword, handkerchief, and the flying sword he obtained from Lin Sheng. This was to prevent others from noticing that he was using them. Chapter 43. The most famous artifact crafting shop in the Decoen market was none other than Old Chin's shop in the western part of the market. When Old Chin was young, he had a fortuitous encounter with a mystic class, low-tier spirit fire, the Stone Jade Fire. With the help of the Stone Jade Fire, Old Chin's artifact crafting skills improved by leaps and bounds, and he gradually became famous. However, rumors of him obtaining a spirit fire also attracted the attention of some people. Just when the young Old Chin was at a loss for what to do, a blood condensation cultivator, Jinling, whose life was saved by Jinling, successfully advanced to the core forging stage after recovering from his injuries and became a core disciple of Jinling. This enlightened master spread the word that he would protect his savior, which caused some people to give up their greed. Later on, this enlightened master was stationed on Decoen Island, and Old Chin followed him to the market and opened up Old Chin's artifact crafting shop. With the help of the Stone Jade Fire, his business became more and more prosperous. As Old Chin became more and more famous, people began to forget his original name. Regardless of whether they were familiar with him or not, they just called him Old Chin. When Lu Ping arrived at Old Chin's artifact crafting shop, a young man in his 20s dressed in Jinling clothes was in the shop. Lu Ping sensed that this was a blood condensation cultivator from the spiritual energy fluctuations coming from the young man's body. He didn't dare to be rude and immediately bowed. Third-level disciple Lu Ping greets Immortal Master. The young man smiled kindly. No need to be so courteous. I've just advanced to the blood condensation realm, and I happen to be your senior apprentice brother from the previous batch. Are you here to forge an artifact? Lu Ping didn't dare to address him as senior apprentice brother, so he replied politely, That's right. I would like to ask Mr. Chun to forge a set of inner armor and upgrade an artifact's grade. The young man saw that Lu Ping was still a little reserved and smiled. I'm Chun Lian, the son of Old Chun you're looking for. You can call me Senior Apprentice Brother Chun. It's not appropriate to call me Immortal Master. My father is in the refining room at the back, dealing with a magic tool that has just been refined. You will have to wait for a while. Lu Ping saw that Chun Chongqing wasn't one to stand on ceremony, and if he was too reserved, he would seem pretentious, so he said, "Thank you, Senior Martial Brother Chun. I will wait here for a while." The two of them sat together and chatted about a few interesting things about the monastery. A white-haired, red-faced elder walked over from the back of the shop. Seeing the two of them, he said to Chun Lian, "You've returned?" Chun Lian chuckled and said, "Isn't the auction going to be held soon? I reckon you'll have a lot of business when the time comes, so you can come back to help. It just so happens that this junior brother of mine is looking for you to forge a weapon for him." Elder Chun did not answer Chun Lian's question. Instead, he asked directly, "What kind of Dharma artifact do you want to refine? How are the materials prepared?" Lu Ping took out the sea snake demon's hide. Chun Lian's eyes lit up and said, "Ah, a mid-stage blood condensation sea snake demon's hide. Such a big piece, but it's a pity that a lot of it was damaged. I can only make 2 mid-grade inner armors." Elder Chin looked at the snake skin and said, "2 inner armors are not a problem, but a mid-stage blood condensation demonic beast's hide isn't equal to a mid-grade Dharma artifact. I need to add some other things. I can provide those things, and you can use the leftover parts of the leather to make up for it. How about it?" Lu Ping nodded and took out landslide and a piece of black iron. Chun Lian clicked his tongue and said, "What a good landslide. The 3 restrictions are all purely offensive. If this Dharma artifact can't be forged into a high-grade Dharma artifact, it would be a pity for this piece of black iron." Elder Chin did not express his dissatisfaction with Chun Lian's overstepping his authority, but he did not agree either. He only said, "What requirements do you have for this Dharma artifact?" Lu Ping was very fond of landslide. Hearing this, he said, "I want to try my best to maintain the basic characteristics of landslide and upgrade it to a high-grade Dharma artifact." Elder Chin pondered for a while and said, "If that's the case, it will indeed be a little difficult to upgrade it to a high-grade Dharma artifact. Never mind, this kind of extreme Dharma artifact that only focuses on offensive power is rare. Moreover, if I don't upgrade it to a high-grade Dharma artifact, I will do my best." Lu Ping was overjoyed. "Thank you, Senior." Elder Chen said, "There's no hurry. We have enough main materials to upgrade this Dharma artifact to a high-grade Dharma artifact. However, this kind of pure offensive Dharma artifact is extremely difficult to forge. We still need to mix and match several spiritual materials to prevent it from collapsing when we add the restrictions. Therefore, Old Man has 2 requirements." Lu Ping heard this and said, "Senior, please tell me." Elder Chen said, "I can provide a few matching spiritual materials, but you will have to exchange them with spiritual stones. Including the crafting fee, it will be a total of 470 spiritual stones. The crafting fee for the 2 inner armors will also be 160 spiritual stones. In total, it will be 630 spiritual stones. Let's call it 600 spiritual stones." Lu Ping nodded and handed over 600 spiritual stones. He sighed in his heart that artifact forging was also a profiteering industry. However, Lu Ping could not be bothered with these things right now. Elder Chun then pointed at Chun Lian and said, "I still need him to participate in the forging of these Dharma artifacts." Lu Ping looked at Chun Lian with a troubled expression, but Chun Lian was eager to try. Fortunately, Elder Chun then said, "My son's artifact forging skills have already been taught by me. He has also entered Jinling's Qi Training Pavilion to learn artifact forging. Now, he only lacks experience." Without waiting for Lu Ping to speak, Elder Chin continued, "Also, I can see that you have a special liking for this landslide. It is inevitable that you will upgrade it again in the future. By that time, I may have already passed this shop to him. You will still need him to help you upgrade it. After all, only people who have forged this Dharma artifact are the best candidates to upgrade it." Lu Ping was convinced by Elder Chin's words, so he nodded and agreed. Chun Lian was very excited and said, "If you want to upgrade it to a top-tier Dharma artifact in the future, it would be best to use deep-sea frigid iron as the main material. Of course, spiritual materials like golden crow iron and wind dust iron are also fine." Lu Ping nodded to show that he understood. He then asked, "When can I come back to collect these 3 Dharma artifacts, Senior?" Elder Chun counted the days and said, "I still have 2 deals on hand. In this case, there should be no problem in a month. Lu Ping said directly, then I will come back to collect them during the auction in 3 months. It will save me the trouble of having to make another trip. In the evening, Lu Ping returned to Huangli Island. These days, the peace between Jinling and Xianling sect was not peaceful again. The cause was the battle on the island where 5 Xianling sect disciples were killed. Initially, this incident was caused by Xianling sect ambushing Jinling's disciples. However, in the end, a blood condensation realm monster intervened. Instead, 3 of Jinling's disciples, including Hu Lily, escaped with their lives and brought back the truth. All 5 Xianling sect disciples were killed. Once again, Xianling sect lost to Jinling sect. What angered Xianling sect even more was that one of their fallen disciples was an elite disciple from a powerful family. Not only that, he was also an inner sect disciple of Xianling sect. This made Xianling sect feel even more embarrassed. Hence, Xianling sect insisted on stirring up trouble, accusing Jinling sect of setting up a trap to lure Xianling sect's disciples into this operation, and even colluding with the demon race. Naturally, Jinling did not want to be outdone. Both sides started a war of words again. Fortunately, both sides restrained themselves this time. Chapter 44. As soon as Lu Ping returned to Huangli Island, he was pestered by the spirit-seeking mouse, Debao. Ever since Debao ate half a pill that Lu Ping mistakenly gave him and was lucky enough to advance to the first level and become a second-level blood-refining realm beast, he became even more affectionate towards Lu Ping. Looking at Debao's excited expression, Lu Ping asked curiously, Debao, don't tell me you found another energy-gathering land? Are there really so many spiritual lands on our Huangli Island? Debao nodded, then shook his head. He only pulled Lu Ping's trousers and walked out. Lu Ping had no choice but to follow Debao outside. This time, Debao found 2 places. After Lu Ping went there, he finally understood that these were not energy-gathering lands, but areas with latent spirits. In other words, they were unqualified spiritual fields. If he wanted to develop these places into spiritual fields, he would first have to use spirit stones to perform the art of sacrificial soul, slowly stimulating and replenishing the land with latent spirits so that it could reach the standard of a spiritual field. Lu Ping pondered for a while. These 2 areas with latent spirits could be developed into spiritual fields by using the art of sacrificial soul. Each use of the art of sacrificial soul would cost 40 spirit stones to maintain for a year, so he would still be able to make a profit. Moreover, he had learned a secret technique to accelerate the growth of spiritual grasses and grains from the Shang Tao's observation log. This secret technique also consumed spirit stones. A normal spiritual urging technique could save about a quarter of the planting time of the spiritual grains, but this secret technique, called the spiritual usurpation technique, could save half of the growing time of the spiritual grains and herbs. The spiritual herb garden on the island was the result of the spiritual usurpation technique performed by alchemist Shang Tao using a miniature spiritual vein as a medium and using a large formation. Otherwise, the spiritual herb garden had only been developed for about 200 years. How could it have matured 500-year-old spiritual herbs? In this way, the spiritual fields on Huangli Island could be harvested 6 times a year instead of 4 times a year. The spiritual usurpation technique required 80 spirit stones per mu, and it would last for a year. In this way, he could earn about 1,200 spirit stones in a year from the 7 acres of spirit fields. Although these 1,200 spirit stones were only enough for Lu Ping's consumption for 3 months, it was already a great improvement. Lu Ping returned to his idyllic life. Because he had obtained 3 bottles of blood vigor pills from the Immortal's Cave, the side courtyard's pill sales pavilion, and the Earth and Earth pill sales pavilion, Lu Ping could enjoy the luxury of cultivating with blood vigor pills for the next 3 months. The effects of this cultivation method were astonishing. Just as the 3 months were about to end, Lu Ping miraculously broke through the barrier and stepped into the late stage of the 9th level. He was only 1 step away from the peak of the 9th level. It took less than a year for Lu Ping to reach the late stage of the 9th layer blood refining realm. In these 3 months, Lu Ping became obsessed with alchemy. He repeatedly read the pill refinement scripture and observation records left behind by alchemist Shang Tao. He also tried to combine the low-grade spiritual herbs he harvested from the spiritual herb garden with the most basic blood refinement pill. This was a pill for cultivators who had just entered the blood refining realm. Even mortals with strong bodies could withstand the medicinal effects and benefit from it. To concoct such a pill, there was no need to use a high-grade mystic-grade spirit fire like the Azure Spirit Fire. Otherwise, spiritual herbs that were slightly stronger than ordinary herbs would be reduced to ashes in an instant. Lu Ping used the true fire condensed from his arcane energy and a mid-grade magic cauldron. It was like using a sledgehammer to kill a chicken. However, reality was cruel. Recently, a series of good luck seemed to have exhausted Lu Ping's luck. In these 3 months, the center of Huangli Island would often hear the sound of explosions. Sometimes at night, there would be flames that soared to the sky. This made the simple islanders very worried. They felt that this easygoing immortal was not arrogant and often helped everyone. He had even saved the lives of many people on the island. They hoped that he would not be chased away like the previous immortal. Lu Ping, whose clothes were burned to pieces, coughed continuously because of the pungent smell. He had no idea that his actions had brought panic to the islanders. After experiencing a few failures, Lu Ping finally calmed down and began to seriously study Pill Master Sheng Tao's pill scripture. He compared it with his own process of concocting pills. He carefully recalled the changes in fire control during the concoction, the timing and speed of the hand seals, and so on. At the same time, he studied the medicinal properties of various spiritual herbs recorded in the record of knowledge. At the same time, he had a deep understanding of the principles of the various spiritual herbs in the formula. Gradually, he gained a lot of insights. On this day, at the source of the 2 rivers on Huangli Island, not far from Lu Ping's cultivation room, as Lu Ping formed the last set of hand seals, the cauldron shook. The true fire under the cauldron gradually weakened, and a faint fragrance overflowed from the cauldron. A smile finally appeared on Lu Ping's face. The true fire finally extinguished, and the cauldron gradually calmed down. Lu Ping opened the lid of the cauldron. After a burst of steam, 2 bright red blood refinement pills were lying at the bottom of the cauldron. The rest were 8 charred black balls. The lowest grade pill had a 20% success rate. This should have been a depressing result. Unfortunately, Lu Ping was not dejected at all. He happily threw the blood refinement pills to Debeo to eat. Debeo gave face to its master. The little mouse ate the blood refinement pills ravenously. Lu Ping dissolved the remaining blood refinement pill in water. He gave the water to the weak islanders to drink. Unexpectedly, their bodies became better. The islanders who had witnessed this miracle worshipped Lu Ping even more. This caused the panic caused by Lu Ping's concoction to disappear. Lu Ping continued to work hard. He decided to use up all the low-grade spiritual herbs he had brought back from the spiritual herb garden. Although the results of his concoction varied, Lu Ping no longer produced an entire cauldron of useless pills. Sometimes it was 1, sometimes it was 2. Eventually, the number of pills increased to 3 or 4 pills. After refining hundreds of low-grade spiritual herbs for 20 to 30 cauldrons, Huang Xiaolong obtained more than 30 pills of the lowest grade. The 3 months were almost over. The auction was coming soon. Lu Ping had about 7,000 spirit stones on hand. He had accumulated them through various methods during this period of time. Among the blood-refining realm cultivators, he could definitely be considered a wealthy man. However, Lu Ping knew that he was still far from enough. He had heard rumors that a blood-condensing pill would appear in the auction. Lu Ping, who was learning alchemy, knew that the cost of a blood-condensing pill was around 600 to 700 spirit stones. However, in reality, it was usually priced at 1,000 to 600 spirit stones. In an auction, it was common for the price to go up to 2,000 spirit stones. He also needed to buy a mid-grade flying artifact. Due to the recent conflict between Jinling and Xianling sect, Lu Ping decided to put this eye-catching flying car artifact up for auction. Xianling sect wouldn't fall out with Jinling and the multi-treasure pavilion for a mere artifact anyway. Medicinal pills, especially the blood vigor pill, had to be purchased. After tasting the benefits of using the blood vigor pill, Lu Ping couldn't help but feel a sense of accomplishment. The problem was, did Lu Ping have enough spirit stones? Chapter 45. In order to prevent cultivators from driving up the price, every cultivator had to pay a deposit of 50 spirit stones before entering the auction. The deposit would be returned after the auction. After Lu Ping paid the deposit, he went to hand the flying car to the auction house. After some thought, he took out 100 top-grade blood talismans and 2 sets of child mother warning talismans and gave them to the auction house. In the end, Lu Ping paid an extra 50 spirit stones. In addition to his own items, he could be considered a big customer. Thus, he was arranged to stay in a private room. Lu Ping chose the private room to keep it a secret. Before coming here, Lu Ping had received news from Shi Lingling that there would indeed be a blood-condensing pill in this auction. Lu Ping would definitely participate in the auction for the blood-condensing pill. Speaking of the blood-condensing pill, Lu Ping was overjoyed. After entering the private room, he took out an exquisite jade bottle from his storage pouch. When he opened the bottle, a fragrant aroma wafted out. Inside the bottle was a purple pill the size of a longan. The surface of the pill glowed faintly. This was the blood-condensing pill that he got from Dekuan Island. Originally, Lu Ping wanted to attend the auction with Group 7. However, after arriving at Xinqi Island, he found out that Yao Yong had broken through to the blood condensation realm and became an inner disciple of Zhenling. He had already returned to True Spirit Island to receive further inheritance. Coincidentally, Du Feng had also reached the peak of the 9th layer. He was preparing for the blood condensation realm and could not attend the auction. This disappointed Shi Lingling greatly. To make matters worse, Group 7's Li Cheng and Zhang Zicheng had also broken through to the 8th layer and had come to Xinqi Island to carry out a sect mission. Li Cheng had always been at odds with Lu Ping. Now that he saw that Lu Ping had reached the 9th layer, he was once again cast aside. This made Li Cheng even more jealous. Li Cheng was also a cultivator from a clan. After arriving at Xinqi Island, he tried to rope in the other cultivators of Group 7, intentionally isolating Lu Ping. Lu Ping was too lazy to care about this. He had long since not wanted too many people to know about his affairs and was planning to act alone. Li Cheng's arrival just happened to give Lu Ping a reason. Lu Ping was a maverick in Group 7, and he was very strong. Other than Yao Yong, Du Feng, and Shi Lingling, he was also acquainted with Zhang Zicheng. Therefore, Lu Ping's departure did not cause much awkwardness to everyone. Only Shi Lingling was a little unhappy. After putting away the blood-condensing pill, Lu Ping took out 2 mid-grade inner armors. The outer layer of the inner armors was golden in color and was mainly refined from the scales of the sea snake demons. The inner layer was soft and tough, refined from the skin of the sea snake demons. After putting away the inner armors, a 3-inch square metal stamp appeared in Lu Ping's hand. Looking at this mystic artifact, Lu Ping's smile grew even wider. This was the landslide that had already been successfully upgraded to a high-grade magic tool. With the addition of profound iron, the landslide appeared even more profound and heavy. The 7 profound grade restrictions of the same attribute naturally made its power even more tyrannical, but the amount of magic power it required was even greater. Thinking of this, Lu Ping sighed helplessly. He would only be able to use it when he reached the blood condensation realm. Putting away landslide, Lu Ping took out a jade scroll with a solemn expression. This was something that Yao Yong had asked Master Immortal Lu to pass to Lu Ping along with the energy-gathering praying mat to him when he returned to Zhenling to thank Lu Ping for lending him the energy-gathering praying mat. The jade scroll recorded Yao Yong's process of breaking through to the blood condensation realm in detail. Many of Yao Yong's experiences were included in the scroll, which made Lu Ping feel like he had just obtained a priceless treasure. While Lu Ping was experiencing the process of breaking through to the blood condensation realm in his private room, more and more people entered the auction hall. Lu Ping looked at the bustling crowd of blood-refining realm cultivators, but he didn't see any cultivators from Group 7. It seemed that Shi Lingling and Li Cheng had also entered the private room. Only 1/3 of the cultivators in the auction hall were from Zhenling. The rest were rogue cultivators and disciples from other sects or clans. Between sects, as long as they weren't enemies, they weren't prohibited from appearing in their respective territories. After all, the interaction between cultivators could enrich the market, allowing cultivation resources to flow and replenish each other. Due to the 50 spirit stones entry fee and the limited number of seats in the auction hall, There were only about 1,000 cultivators who entered the auction hall. Amidst the hustle and bustle, a fat cultivator with a smile on his face walked up to the auction stage. Even though this cultivator had an amiable demeanor, the surging arcane energy waves around him clearly told everyone that he was a blood condensation expert. The fat cultivator stopped the hustle and bustle in the auction hall. He smiled and said, "Fellow Taoists, my surname is Pang, and I am one of the managers of the Multi-Treasure Pavilion's auction house. I will be hosting today's auction." Seeing that everyone had quieted down, Manager Pang continued, "Without further ado, I hereby announce the official start of today's auction. To express my gratitude for everyone's support of our auction house, the first item of today's auction will be a heavyweight." Seeing that the cultivators below the stage were already interested in him, Manager Pang shouted, "Bring the auction item to the stage." A well-dressed young lady held a tray in her hands. On top of the tray was an auction item that was covered with a red silk cloth. As Manager Pang lifted the red silk cloth, the cultivators in the auction hall couldn't help but gasp. A cauldron. It's actually a cauldron. One had to know that the difficulty of forging a cauldron was much higher than an artifact of the same grade. Therefore, a low-grade cauldron was usually worth as much as a high-grade artifact. However, the usage of a cauldron was no different from an ordinary artifact. Late blood refining realm cultivators could basically use a mid-grade cauldron. It was just like how Lu Ping was using a mid-grade cauldron to learn how to refine pills. On the auction stage, the fat cultivator introduced the cauldron loudly, a low-grade cauldron artifact. It is made from refined wind-polished copper as its main spiritual material. It contains 3 layers of restrictions and is considered the best among low-grade cauldrons. The starting price is 500 spirit stones, and each increment must be no less than 10 spirit stones. Sure enough, it was the starting price for a high-grade magic tool. The high starting price caused most cultivators to shrink back. Of course, most of them knew that the threshold for becoming an alchemist was too high, so this pill furnace was useless to them. However, there were still quite a few people who participated in the bidding. I bid 520 spirit stones. 550 spirit stones? In the blink of an eye, the price of the cauldron had exceeded 600 spirit stones, and it was heading towards 700 spirit stones. It seemed like there were quite a lot of rich cultivators in the blood refining realm. Lu Ping couldn't help but frown. Lu Ping had a mid-grade cauldron artifact, so naturally, he wouldn't be interested in a low-grade cauldron. Feeling the lively atmosphere in the auction house, Lu Ping teased Debao with great interest. Debao was getting fatter and fatter. After advancing to the second layer, it had become a test subject for Lu Ping to concoct low-grade blood refining realm pills. There were several types of pills, and more than 30 pills were consumed by Debao every day. In addition to the sea snake meat that Lu Ping brought back, Debao had eaten quite a lot of it. As a result, Debao's cultivation was increasing, and his body was also getting fatter. Lu Ping had also eaten quite a lot of the sea snake meat, and as a result, Lu Ping's body was getting stronger and stronger. Cultivators in the same realm couldn't compare to him at all, and his strength was probably comparable to cultivators who specialized in body tempering. Chapter 46. The price of the cauldron skyrocketed, and was finally bought by the cultivator in room 6 for 820 spirit stones. This was already the price of an ordinary high-grade artifact. With such a good start, the auction continued to be lively, and there were almost no unsold items. Although the following items were not as high-grade as the cauldron, their quality was still guaranteed. A mid-grade flying sword, high quality. The starting price is 150 spirit stones, and each increment is at least 10 spirit stones. Lu Ping, who had just put away Debao, saw the flying sword that he had obtained from Lin Shang on the stage. In fact, even among the sect disciples, owning 1 or 2 low-grade artifacts in the late stage of the blood refining realm was already a respectable figure. Although Lu Ping had started to sell mid-grade artifacts, that was because those who had fallen into his hands were either the elites of the sect's outer disciples or the elites of the cultivation clans. In the hands of a 9th-layer blood refining realm cultivator with a weak foundation, it would be difficult to even activate a mid-grade artifact. After a few uses, their arcane energy would be depleted. Therefore, mid-grade artifacts were often the symbol of wealth and elites for blood-refining realm disciples. The price of the flying sword quickly broke through 250 spirit stones, but when it reached 270 spirit stones, it slowed down. In the end, the flying sword was bought by a young cultivator in the auction hall for 300 spirit stones. This price was within a reasonable range. Since he couldn't take it out and it would be troublesome to keep it, it was better to sell it. In the following period of time, the handkerchief artifact and flying sword artifact that Lu Ping had auctioned off were auctioned off one after another. The handkerchief artifact was mainly used for defense. Coupled with its unique creativity, it attracted the attention of many female cultivators and male cultivators. After the starting price was 220 spirit stones, the price quickly skyrocketed. In less than 3 rounds, the price of 300 spirit stones was exceeded, and it only slowed down when it reached 400 spirit stones. In the end, it was won by a female cultivator in room 11 for 430 spirit stones. The flying sword wasn't as popular, but it was still sold for 360 spirit stones. Under Lu Ping's request, the store of Bountiful Treasures Pavilion's cultivators promptly delivered the spirit stones to the private room. After deducting the 5% fee, Lu Ping received another 1,000 spirit stones. This is a talisman brush made from the tail hair of a 3rd-level blood condensation realm demonic beast, Silver Moon Rabbit. Not only will it be useful for everyone here, it will also be sufficient for a long period of time in the blood condensation realm. The starting price is 300 spirit stones, and each increment is no less than 20 spirit stones. Manager Peng's introduction caught Lu Ping's attention. It was obvious that Lu Ping's level of blood-refining realm talisman crafting had reached a certain level. It would be difficult for him to make another breakthrough in a short period of time. Only by improving the materials such as the talisman brush, talisman paper, and spiritual ink would he be able to make a difference. The fur of the Silver Moon Rabbit had always been the first choice for making talisman pins. It was very helpful to the success rate of making talisman pins and the improvement of the quality of the talisman. Even though the Silver Moon Rabbit was only at the 3rd level of the blood condensation realm, it was enough for Lu Ping to advance to the blood condensation realm. By the time Lu Ping decided to buy the talisman brush, the price had already risen from 300 spirit stones to 400 spirit stones, and it was still rising. 430 spirit stones. Lu Ping said without hesitation. 450 spirit stones. An aged blood-refining realm cultivator below the stage also had his eyes on the talisman brush. 470 spirit stones. The cultivator in room 5 followed suit. 500 spirit stones. Lu Ping said without hesitation. At this point, there were no longer any bidders below the stage. 520 spirit stones. After a moment of hesitation, the cultivator in room 5 made his bid. However, it was obvious that he was no longer as determined as before. 550 spirit stones. Lu Ping followed up with another bid. The cultivators below the stage began to discuss among themselves. This was already the 2nd highest bid of the day. Everyone felt that it wasn't worth it. In fact, it was a waste for a blood-refining realm cultivator to use such a talisman brush. However, for a blood condensation realm cultivator, the talisman brush's duration was too short. However, if they knew of Lu Ping's current talisman forging level, they would definitely be dumbfounded. Lu Ping rarely failed when forging blood-refining realm talismans. Almost 50% of the talismans he forged were high-grade, 20% were top-grade, and the remaining 30% were mid-grade and low-grade. With this talisman brush, Lu Ping was confident that his success rate in forging top-grade talismans would increase to 30%. A 30% success rate might sound like a lot, but with the increasing urgency of cultivation, Lu Ping would often go into closed-door cultivation for several days in a row. The time he spent forging talismans each month was greatly reduced. He could only forge talismans once every 5 to 6 days and produce about 10 talismans at a time. The fellow Taoist in room 7 has bid 550 spirit stones. Is there anyone else who wants to bid? 550 spirit stones going once. The cultivator in room 5 didn't bid anymore. After all, this was already the price of a mediocre high-grade magic tool. 550 spirit stones going twice. 550 spirit stones going thrice. Congratulations to the fellow Taoist in room 7 for winning this talisman brush. As the auction continued, Lu Ping played with the talisman brush in his hand. The shaft of the talisman brush was made from 100-year-old green jade bamboo. This type of spiritual material grew slowly and was excellent in guiding spiritual energy. The tip of the brush was made from the tip of the silver moon rabbit's tail, and each strand of hair exuded an exquisite luster. The more Lu Ping looked at it, the more he liked it. His talisman crafting skills could immediately improve to a new level. At this time, the auction was almost halfway through. Although no items were left unsold, and many cultivators obtained their own items, the prices were not bad. However, there was no scene of cultivators bidding crazily like the pill furnace. At this time, a cultivator who was also a manager walked up from the side and said something to Manager Peng. Just as everyone was guessing what was going on, Manager Peng's spirit rose and he said to the cultivators below the stage, "In order to repay everyone's support for our pavilion, the pavilion master and all the managers have unanimously agreed to auction one of the finale items of this auction ahead of time." The sudden decision of the Bountiful Treasures Pavilion was like a stone thrown into a lake. It immediately aroused the enthusiastic support of the cultivators present. The atmosphere, which had originally calmed down, suddenly became lively again. The cultivators' eyes shone as they looked forward to the surprise of the Bountiful Treasures Pavilion. Lu Ping also stopped what he was doing and waited for the Bountiful Treasures Pavilion to release the finale item ahead of time. The tray covered by a red silk cloth had already been opened, revealing an exquisite box made from spirit wood. The carvings on its surface were extremely detailed. The spirit-preserving box could preserve the spiritual energy and medicinal efficacy of the pills, spiritual herbs, and spiritual materials inside for hundreds of years without losing them. Manager Peng carefully opened the wooden box, revealing a purple pill the size of a longan in front of everyone. The crowd below the stage fell into a brief silence. Then, a burst of noise almost tore the roof off the auction hall. Blood-condensing pill. There really is a blood-condensing pill up for auction? If the blood-condensing pill is only one of the finale items, then what are the other finale items? Everyone began to make their own guesses. At the same time, their expressions became solemn. The stronger cultivators' expressions changed several times, and the atmosphere gradually became heavy. Lu Ping also sat up straight, as if he was facing a great enemy. Chapter 47. The unexpected appearance of the blood-condensing pill caused the atmosphere to become eerily quiet. However, everyone could feel the majestic aura brewing within. At the same time, everyone couldn't help but speculate. If the Bountiful Treasures Pavilion could bring out a pill like the blood-condensing pill to be auctioned off in advance, then what other treasures would be placed after it? Perhaps there would be more than one blood-condensing pill this time. Lu Ping was determined to get his hands on the blood-condensing pill. Clearly, some of the cultivators with powerful backgrounds had received news of the blood-condensing pill. Lu Ping had also heard from Shi Lingling that the blood-condensing pill might be auctioned. However, the Multi-Treasures Pavilion didn't say whether they would be auctioning one or several. The cultivators who received the news would probably assume that there would only be one blood-condensing pill. One blood-condensing pill. I don't need to introduce the rest. The starting price is 1,200 spirit stones, and each increment must be no less than 50 spirit stones. Let the bidding begin. 1,300 spirit stones. 1,350 spiritual stones. I bid 1,400 spirit stones. Don't fight me for it. Some of the impatient cultivators were even speaking incoherently. Wasn't an auction supposed to be fought over? Lu Ping wasn't in a hurry to make a bid. He knew that the real auction wasn't here yet. Even though the market price of the blood-condensing pellet was between 1,000 and 2,000 spiritual stones, it wasn't uncommon for it to be sold for more than 2,000 spiritual stones. Not to mention, this was an auction with over 1,000 blood-refining realm cultivators. There were too many wolves for too little meat, so the price wouldn't be low. Since none of the cultivators in the surrounding rooms were bidding, it was clear that the real auction for the blood-condensing pill had yet to begin. The reason why Lu Ping was in such a hurry to bid for the blood-condensing pill was not only because his cultivation was close to the threshold of the blood condensation realm, but also because Yao Yong had told him about the general knowledge of the blood condensation realm and the jade slip he gave to Lu Ping. With Lu Ping's deep cultivation and solid foundation, 2 blood-condensing pills might not even be enough for him to break through. Yao Yong's family wasn't very powerful. Other than the 1 blood-condensing pill he won in the competition, his family only prepared one for him. Even so, 2 blood-condensing pills were barely enough for Yao Yong's breakthrough. Another reason was that, like him, many cultivators had already guessed that the multi-treasure pavilion wouldn't only have 1 blood-condensing pellet. If that was the case, the competition for the blood-condensing pellet wouldn't be so fierce, and Lu Ping might be able to fish in troubled waters. The price of the blood-condensing pill had already reached 1,800 spirit stones. It was then that the cultivator from room 4 could no longer hold himself back. 2,000 spirit stones. The cultivator in the 4th private room was obviously fed up with the noise of the market and directly killed the hope of some people. Hee, is it young Master Bai inside? Young Master Bai, I'll add another 100 spirit stones. A provocative voice came from room 8, which was next to Lu Ping's room. Young Master Bai, you're too humble. You blood-condensing pills prepared. You to the time, you condensing pill. Don't look for trouble. Young Master Bai said in a low voice from the 4th room. That's not right. Everyone is competing fairly. The highest bidder wins. I wouldn't dare to make things difficult for Big Brother. Besides, do you lack blood-condensing pills? That's none of your business. I have my own use for it. 2,200 spirit stones. 2,250 spirit stones. This time, it was the blood-condensing pill from the 2nd room. See, young Master Bai isn't the only one who needs it. Yu Qilan's voice sounded again. Lu Ping furrowed his brows. He didn't expect to run into these clan's disciples. Lu Ping didn't want to get involved in these family fights and cause trouble for himself. Thus, he decided to bid slowly. 2,300 spirit stones. Young Master Bai continued. His tone was clearly unfriendly. 2,400 spirit stones. The voice from the 10th room sounded. Lu Ping could tell it was Shi Lingling bidding. Previously, when Lu Ping was bidding, he used a spell to change his voice. He wasn't afraid of being recognized. Lu Ping looked in the direction of the 10th room. He still didn't say anything. 2,450 spirit stones. The one who spoke was one of the blood-condensing pill from the audience. He attracted everyone's attention. This person looked calm. He didn't panic at all. He just looked at the stage quietly. Even if he didn't have an identity, he must have guts. Everyone was guessing. 2,500 spirit stones. The blood-condensing pill from the 12th room also joined in. 2,550 spirit stones. The blood-condensing pill from the 1st room also made a bid. No one wanted to give up the blood-condensing pill. However, the price was almost saturated. It wouldn't be worth it to buy anymore. The bidding was in a stalemate. 2,800 spirit stones. Lu Ping finally made a bid. His first bid was a new height. He was determined to win. Everyone was excited. They were guessing which family or sect was he the descendant of perfected Laozu. Up until now, the 12 rooms had basically made a bid. This Taoist bids 2,800 spirit stones. It's a new record for today's auction. Anyone who wants to bid? 2,800 spirit stones going once. The crowd outside the 7th room was silent. I don't recognize this Taoist's voice. I wonder which family you are from. Perhaps our 2 families are friends. Young Master Bai's voice sounded. Chapter 48. Lu Ping used another 300 spirit stones to buy a jade scroll titled Basics of Pill Refinement. Since Lu Ping had decided to enter the field of pill refinement, he naturally had to build a good foundation. Even though he had the Shang Tao pill scripture and the basics of pill refinement he got from Lin Shang, there was no harm in learning from other schools. Ladies and gentlemen, our pavilion will be auctioning a batch of supreme-grade spiritual talismans, and they are all supreme-grade blood talismans. Due to the large quantity, we will be auctioning them in batches. There are 20 supreme-grade blood talismans in the first batch. The starting bid is 150 spirit stones. Manager Pang introduced Lu Ping's blood talismans to the crowd. In the market, a single supreme-grade blood talisman would cost between 8 to 10 spirit stones. However, supreme-grade blood talismans were rare in the blood-refining realm, let alone appearing in batches. If these 20 talismans were to be used together, even a blood condensation realm expert would be in trouble if they were caught off guard. Previously, Lu Ping had ambushed a fourth-layer blood condensation realm sea snake monster with a large number of supreme-grade lightning talismans. As expected, this batch of blood talismans was quite popular. The price soon exceeded 200 spirit stones, and it was finally won by someone for 230 spirit stones. Lu Ping felt that the price was reasonable. If the price went any higher, it wouldn't be worth it. After that, Lu Ping's talismans were auctioned in batches of 30 and 50. The appearance of the first batch of 50 supreme-grade blood talismans caused the crowd to gasp in surprise. The person who auctioned this batch of talismans was either a blood condensation realm cultivator or an extremely skilled talisman craftsman. The latter was highly likely. After all, blood condensation realm talisman craftsmen wouldn't waste their own blood on talismans that weren't of much use to them. During the auction of Lu Ping's talismans, Lu Ping noticed a person looking left and right in the auction hall, as if she was looking for someone. This person was Hu Lily, who had been defeated in front of Shang Tao's cave abode. However, there weren't any other two people following her. Instead, there was a young cultivator who kept talking to her. The two seemed to be very familiar with each other. Hu Lily couldn't find the person she was looking for. She couldn't help but feel disappointed. She turned around and said a few words to the young man beside her. Lu Ping knew that Hu Lily was already suspecting that he was the creator of these blood charms. After all, only Hu Lily had traded a large number of blood charms with him. The two batches of talismans were sold for the ideal prices of 380 and 720 spirit stones respectively. This gave Lu Ping more confidence in the upcoming auction. Then, there were some other talismans with special functions, but they were all auctioned in batches, not as many as Lu Ping's, and the quality was also somewhat different. On the other hand, Lu Ping's two sets of parent-child warning talismans once again made everyone's eyes light up. Once this talisman was set up, it could monitor a radius of a few hundred meters. Although it wasn't comparable to Divine Sense, it could still detect a blood condensation realm expert's location if they were careless. However, if a blood condensation realm expert wanted to conceal his strength, the talisman would lose its effect. Moreover, this set of talismans usually had a time limit. Once the time limit was up, the talisman would become useless. Even so, this kind of talisman made everyone's eyes light up. The starting price went from 200 spirit stones, all the way up to 400 spirit stones, and finally, it was sold for 480 spirit stones. This surprised Lu Ping. Although it was harder to make a set of talismans than other talismans, the price was still on the high side. Lu Ping even had the urge to take out a few sets of landmine talismans to auction, but it was even more difficult to make than warning talismans. Even Lu Ping only had a few sets to protect himself. Moreover, Lu Ping needed to keep a few trump cards for himself. The next item is a mid-grade flying magic tool, Flying Cloud Pouch. Not only is this magic tool extremely fast, but it also has a good concealment ability. It looks like a cloud, and it changes color according to the weather. Even a blood condensation realm expert wouldn't be able to detect it with their divine sense if they aren't too close. The starting price is 450 spirit stones, and each increment must be no less than 20 spirit stones. Manager Pang had just finished his introduction when the bidding was drowned out by the bidding. 500 spirit stones. 530 spirit stones. In such a short period of time, the price had exceeded 600 spirit stones. This had far exceeded the price of the lowest quality high-grade magic tool, and the price was still rising. Lu Ping was originally very interested in this magic tool. He was only using a low-grade flying magic tool, and it was indeed insufficient in terms of speed. Lu Ping was also considering using a flying magic tool for this auction. However, as the price of the magic tool continued to rise, Lu Ping gradually calmed down. Although this magic tool had a good concealment ability and was extremely fast, Lu Ping wasn't too far away from the blood condensation realm. Once he reached the blood condensation realm, this magic tool wouldn't be of much help to him, especially its concealment ability. It might not even be as good as the invisibility technique of a blood condensation realm cultivator. Hence, Lu Ping didn't bid anymore after 2 more times. In the end, the magic tool was successfully won by Shi Lingling from room 10 for 750 spirit stones. However, Lu Ping noticed a phenomenon. When Shi Lingling placed a bid, the people in the other private rooms would no longer place a higher bid than her. Only when someone below the stage made another bid would the people in the other rooms follow suit. Lu Ping thought back to the blood-condensing pellet auction. Back then, during the blood-condensing pellet auction, everyone in the private rooms started a war of words. But when Shi Lingling bid, no one showed any hostility. Lu Ping rubbed his chin. It seemed like Shi Lingling's background wasn't as simple as just coming from a cultivation family. Lu Ping's magic tool also appeared. However, to Lu Ping's surprise, many Jinling disciples cheered loudly. Isn't that Xianling sect's mid-grade flying magic tool, the flying car? Why is it appearing in our auction? It's possible that Xianling sect's disciples were too preoccupied with the pleasures of the world and accidentally ran out of spirit stones, so they could only use this flying car to borrow some spirit stones. However, they were afraid of ruining their young and rich reputation in Xianling sect's territory, so they came here. Not necessarily. I think the disciples of Xianling sect have been mistreated in the sect, so they want to turn to the light and join our Jinling's embrace. That's why they're using this flying car as a proof of allegiance. Some cultivators started to ridicule. No, this flying car is the symbol of Xianling sect's disciples. How could they be mistreated? That doesn't make sense. You can't even figure it out? Outsiders like us shouldn't know about the matters between men and women. Haha, hee hee. All kinds of weird laughter sounded. Lu Ping had a strange expression on his face. He didn't expect the flying car to have such an effect. Chapter 49. Lu Ping didn't expect this flying chariot to be a symbolic mystic artifact for Xianling sect's low-level elite disciples. As soon as it appeared in the auction, it attracted a lot of attention. All sorts of malicious speculations about Xianling sect emerged one after another. I think someone must have killed a Xianling sect disciple and stolen his mystic artifact. I think so too. Didn't Xianling sect accuse our Jinling disciple of colluding with the monster clans and killing 5 of their disciples? I heard that one of them was an elite disciple from a powerful family. I think he must have gotten this mystic artifact from there. Doesn't that mean Xianling sect's lies about us colluding with the monster clans are true? No. I think it must be a fugitive who killed someone in Xianling sect and came here to seek refuge. No matter what, the auction of this flying chariot is a joyous occasion. We should take it back and show it off. The cultivator in room 12 spoke up, but I'm afraid the person who auctioned this item is in trouble. Xianling sect will soon find out about this and come to investigate. This time, it was Yu Qiulan from room 8 who spoke up. Let's see if the store of bountiful treasures can really keep the information of the auctioneer a secret. Bai Changchun from room 4 chimed in. The store of bountiful treasures' reputation is unquestionable. Shi Lingling from room 10 chimed in. That's right. Everyone agreed. Manager Pang cleared his throat to stop the discussion. He smiled and said, Everyone, there's no need to provoke me. Our store of bountiful treasures' reputation is here. We will never reveal the information of the auctioneer. Let's continue with the auction. This mid-sized flying chariot can carry up to 9 people. It has medium speed and decent defensive capabilities. The interior is luxuriously decorated and equipped with all sorts of facilities. It's a must-have for cultivators traveling. The starting price is 500 spirit stones, and each increment must be no less than 20 spirit stones. Lu Ping himself was shocked at first, especially when someone connected it to the battle on the Reef Island. This was only one step away from the truth. However, many of the Jinling disciples suddenly began to defend the auctioneer of the mystic instrument. Even Bai Changchun and Yu Qiulan, 2 people who did not get along with each other, began to speak up for the auctioneer. In the end, they even deliberately forced Manager Pang to represent the Bountiful Treasures Pavilion to make a statement. This gave Lu Ping a deeper understanding of the cohesiveness of the Zhenling disciples. Many wealthy Zhenling disciples were chasing after this mystic artifact. Zhenling was using Xianling sect's low-level elite disciples' mystic artifact for a spin, and it was a very respectable thing to do. The bidding price rose all the way to more than 700 spirit stones. To be honest, Lu Ping did not expect this. Previously, Lu Ping had seen Master Immortal Du's large flying mystic instrument. It could carry dozens of people, so he thought this mystic instrument was only slightly more expensive than ordinary flying mystic instruments. He did not expect the Bountiful Treasures Pavilion to raise the starting price of a high-grade mystic instrument. In the end, it was Yu Qiulan and the cultivator from Private Room 3 who was competing. The cultivator from Private Room 3 bid 800 spirit stones. Yu Qiulan lost his temper and scolded, "Who dares to ruin your young master's plans? Tell me your name." "Young master Yu, you're so hot-tempered. Why? Is this auction hosted by your family?" The cultivator from Room 3 did not mince words and raised his voice. "I was wondering who could be so generous. So it's Zhao Liang from the Zhao family. I heard that your elder sister is going to marry a disciple from Xianling sect's Zhao family. Are you here to present a gift to your new master?" Yu Qiulan said sarcastically. "What a pity. I bid 850 spirit stones." Humph. Zhao Liang knew that because of what happened to his sister, he was disliked by the other disciples. His future brother-in-law's younger brother was killed by a demonic beast while training outside. His brother-in-law's family had always suspected that there was more to it than meets the eye. Coincidentally, his brother-in-law's younger brother had a flying car in the cloud. So Zhao Liang wanted to buy it and give it to his brother-in-law to see if it really belonged to his younger brother. Zhao Liang did not want to be provoked by others. Now that he was recognized, he knew he could not get this mystic instrument. Otherwise, the other disciples in the private rooms would team up to compete with him, which would make him even more enemies. However, he could not let this Yu Qiulan off easily. "I bid 900 spirit stones. Yu Qiulan, if you bid 1,000 spirit stones, I, Zhao Liang, will withdraw from the bidding." In fact, when Yu Qiulan bid 800 spirit stones, Zhao Liang had already decided to give up. His family was not considered a big aristocratic family in Zhenling and did not have as many spirit stones as the other disciples. This was also one of the reasons why his family was connected to Xianling sect through marriage. Moreover, he had already spent a lot of spirit stones in the previous auction. The rest of the spirit stones needed to wait for the finale item, so he wisely withdrew. Yu Qiulan laughed strangely. "Zhao Liang, your provocation is too clumsy, but I, Yu Qiulan, don't care about 1,000 spirit stones. This flying car is mine." Lu Ping was a little surprised by this result. 1,000 spirit stones was not a bad income. At the same time, he saw the power of the big aristocratic families. He had to be careful of Zhao Liang's family. Next was a batch of medicinal pills for late blood refining cultivation, such as blood toughening pill, blood piercing pill, and other medicinal pills that were more effective than blood essence pill. There were also medicinal pills that Lu Ping was familiar with, such as blood solidifying pill and blood vigor pill. Although Lu Ping didn't lack medicinal pellets for cultivation, the more blood vigor pellets he had, the better. Unfortunately, the number of blood vigor pills was limited, and the competition was fierce. Lu Ping spent nearly 750 spirit stones to buy 3 bottles, which was already on the high side. After all, there were too many blood vigor pills and not enough meat. Helpless, Lu Ping could only bid for 6 more bottles of blood solidifying pill as backup, spending another 960 spirit stones. There were also various healing pills, antidote pills, poison pills, body-fixing pills, spirit-sealing pills, zombie pills, invisibility pills, and so on. All of them had their own magical effects, which greatly widened Lu Ping's horizons. Lu Ping also bought a few different kinds of medicinal pills according to his needs, spending another 1,000 spirit stones. This made Lu Ping yearn to be an alchemist even more. In the blink of an eye, another 6 hours passed, and the auction was nearing its end. Manager Peng was still in high spirits, without a trace of fatigue. He stood on the stage and announced, "Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for the finale item." My multi-treasure pavilion has prepared a total of 5 items for everyone. One of them is already known as the blood-condensing pill. So what's the second item? Manager Pang kept everyone in suspense. First, he asked someone to slowly bring the items onto the stage on a tray, which attracted even more people's curiosity. Manager Pang looked at the curious eyes of the audience and smiled. He suddenly lifted the red silk on the tray, revealing an exquisite belt with animal patterns on it. On the buckle of the belt was an intricately carved image of a green flood dragon playing in the water, and on both sides of the belt were images of various rare birds and beasts. The entire belt shone brightly, and the various patterns on it seemed to come to life, vivid and lifelike. Could this be? Chapter 50. A storage belt. It's actually a storage belt. A cultivator in the auction hall recognized the item and exclaimed, causing the crowd to go into a frenzy. Manager Pang was very satisfied when he saw the excited crowd below the stage. Manager Pang raised his hands and signaled for the crowd to quiet down. That's right, this is a storage belt. Usually, only powerful late blood condensation cultivators or core forging enlightened masters would have such a storage belt. The storage space of this storage belt is about 3 square meters. The storage pouch of an ordinary blood refining realm cultivator is only about 1 square meter, and the storage pouch of an ordinary blood condensation realm cultivator is only 2 square meters. This storage belt is definitely the best choice for everyone. It is a symbol of your status. Furthermore, this storage belt comes with 2 demonic beast storage spaces. You can store your pets or demonic beasts. There's also a defensive spell on the storage belt. This is a defensive spell set up by a late blood condensation cultivator proficient in the forced realm. It can be activated when the user's life is in danger. The crowd below the stage was already attracted by Manager Pang's introduction of the storage belt's powerful functions. Every time he finished introducing the functions, the crowd would start discussing excitedly. Although Lu Ping was also attracted by these rare spatial items, he kept a respectful distance from them. Even though he had a lot of treasures on him, it wasn't to the extent that he couldn't fit all of them in his storage pouch. Furthermore, Lu Ping had an exquisite storage pouch left behind by Pill Master Shang Tao. A storage belt was a symbol of status. It was also a symbol of wealth and strength. Lu Ping was just a small blood refining cultivator without any backing. He didn't want anyone to target him. The starting bid is 1,000 spirit stones. Each increment must be no less than 50 spirit stones. As soon as Manager Pang announced the start of the auction, bids started to rise. Lu Ping suddenly realized that there were actually quite a number of blood refining cultivators with a lot of spirit stones on them. The price of the auction continued to rise. In a short period of time, it had broken through 1,500 spirit stones, and the momentum of its rise did not slow down at all. It only slowed down after passing 1,800 spirit stones. At this time, the cultivators in Room 9 and the 2 unfamiliar cultivators in the auction hall were mainly competing for the storage belt. Moreover, the 2 cultivators below the stage bid without any hesitation, and they were even more persistent than the cultivator in Room number 9, as if they had something to rely on. Seeing that, Lu Ping was quite surprised. Looking at the 2 cultivators beneath the stage, he knew that they were also cultivators with great backgrounds. In the end, the storage belt was bought by an ordinary-looking cultivator among the 2 cultivators in the audience for 2,100 spirit stones. The second item in the Bountiful Treasures Pavilion was a high-grade magic tool. This magic tool was a set of flying needles with the name Astral Piercing Needles. This type of magic tool was most suited for sneak attacks, especially against the various defensive magic techniques of cultivators. This was why it had such a name. If an early blood condensation realm cultivator were to use it, even a late blood condensation realm cultivator would be in trouble. During the island battle, Lu Ping saw Hu Lily being ambushed by a Xian Ling sect disciple with a needle-shaped magic tool. At that time, he was shocked by the sharpness of this magic tool. Lu Ping had already refined that magic tool with his blood and turned it into his trump card. Moreover, this was only a low-grade flying needle magic tool, not to mention a set of 3 high-grade magic tools. As expected, after the magic tool was auctioned at 1,200 spirit stones, It quickly rose to 2,300 spirit stones. In the end, it was won by the cultivator in room number 1 for 2,400 spirit stones. The third item was another blood-condensing pill. The thousands of cultivators in the auction hall went into a frenzy again. With Lu Ping's example, the price continued to rise, easily breaking the 3,000 spirit stones mark. This caught Lu Ping by surprise. Fortunately, Lu Ping's previous items had allowed him to break the 7,000 spirit stones mark. Even though he had spent another 2,500 spirit stones to buy the pills and other items, he still had about 5,000 spirit stones left. 3,200 spirit stones, 3,300 spirit stones, 3,500 spirit stones. Lu Ping tried his best to sound calm, but his heart was bleeding. Lu Ping had expected the competition to become more intense if there was another blood-condensing pill, but he didn't expect it to be so intense. When the price of the blood-condensing pill reached 2,800 spirit stones, the bidding slowed down. It was obvious that this was the limit of the cultivators in the auction hall. But when Lu Ping raised the price to 3,000 spirit stones again, Lu Ping immediately incurred the wrath of the crowd. "It's him again. Which sector you from? Don't you think it's too much to eat 2 blood-condensing pills in a row? Everyone, let's go. We can't let him get all the benefits." In an instant, the crowd was in an uproar. They were determined to not let Lu Ping get what he wanted even if they suffered heavy losses. Lu Ping smiled bitterly. 3,600 spirit stones. Let's all fight it out with him. I want to see how many spirit stones he has. Not only did Bai Changchun bid, but he also found others to suppress Lu Ping. Lu Ping knew that he had gone too far. If he were to monopolize the blood-condensing pill in front of so many people, it would be difficult for ordinary people to afford it. 3,500 spirit stones was his limit. Any higher, and it would exceed the price of the blood-condensing pill by too much. It would also affect his cultivation plan. Bai Changchun obtained the blood-condensing pill as he wished, but the price was a little too ridiculous. Lu Ping knew that there must be a lot of cultivators paying attention to him. Initially, he was afraid that he would attract unwanted attention, so he planned to leave early. But after some thought, he realized that there were probably many cultivators watching him. If he left now, wouldn't he be more conspicuous? Leaving with the crowd after the auction was over was the best course of action. At this time, it was time for the last item of the auction to appear. Manager Pang's mysterious expression revealed a hint of excitement. Clearly, this was an item that even a blood condensation cultivator like him was excited about. Let's welcome the last item. Underneath the red silk on the tray was a 1-inch square jade talisman. Lu Ping sucked in a breath of cold air. Treasure talisman. The last item of the auction was a treasure talisman. Lu Ping, who had seen the power of a treasure talisman before, immediately recognized it. It was made of spirit jade. Some of the more knowledgeable cultivators in the private rooms and below the stage also recognized the treasure talisman. The crowd gasped, causing those who had never seen a treasure talisman to start guessing. Everyone, this is a treasure talisman. It was made by a direct disciple of Zhenling, Shi Xuanmu, in his spare time. It's extremely powerful and is a must-have item for you to protect yourselves and kill your enemies. Just as he said this, Manager Pang was suddenly interrupted. Chapter 51. Manager Pang, as far as I know, Master Shi Xuanmu is a true disciple of our sect, so his cultivation should be at least at the 4th layer of the core forging realm. However, I can see that although the jade talisman is glowing with a golden light, there are 3 spiritual halos within it. It's obvious that it was made by a 3rd layer core forging realm master. The one who spoke was Shi Lingling from room 10. When Lu Ping heard Shi Lingling's words, he hurriedly looked at the jade talisman. However, he could only see a golden light flowing on the surface of the talisman. He knew that Shi Lingling must have cultivated some kind of secret technique related to her eyes. Otherwise, she wouldn't be able to use her divine sense to observe like the rest of them. On the stage, Manager Peng smiled awkwardly. So it's Miss Shi from the Shi clan. No wonder you can recognize the inside of this talisman. This talisman was made by Master Shi when he was still at the 3rd layer of the core forging realm. Now that he has broken through to the 3rd layer, He's already a true disciple of Zhenling. Lu Ping didn't know that there were so many divisions in Zhenling. Previously, when Master Immortal Lu advanced to the late blood condensation realm, he accidentally heard that Master Immortal Lu was already a core disciple of the sect. It seemed that there were still true disciples above the core disciples. From their conversation, it seemed that the requirement to become a true disciple was to be at least at the 4th layer of the core forging realm. Lu Ping, who had heard some of the secrets of Zhenling, was trying to guess Shi Lingling's identity when Manager Pang announced the start of the bidding. The starting price of the talisman was 2,000 spirit stones. Due to the high starting price, it was mainly targeted at the descendants of the aristocratic families. Unless there was a nouveau riche like Lu Ping, ordinary blood refining realm cultivators didn't have so many spirit stones. Therefore, the price of the talisman didn't rise very quickly. Lu Ping already had a talisman, so he didn't bid for this one. Moreover, he had already angered the public. If he bid now, it would only cause more chaos. Lu Ping's heart thumped. He took out the talisman he obtained. Since this talisman had been used once, the golden light on its surface had dimmed. Lu Ping focused his gaze on the inside of the talisman treasure. Sure enough, he saw a faint spiritual halo circulating in the middle of the talisman treasure's spirit jade. Lu Ping couldn't help but feel bewildered. This talisman treasure was made by a 1st-layer core forging stage enlightened master. However, when he recalled the power of the golden spear, Lu Ping shook his head and thought to himself, if a talisman treasure made by a 1st-layer core forging stage enlightened master is so powerful, then how powerful would a 3rd-layer core forging stage enlightened master be? I thought you would be the 4th blood condensation realm cultivator in Group 7, but it seems like I've underestimated you. Lu Ping quickly bowed and said, it's all thanks to Master Immortal Lu's guidance. Master Immortal Lu smiled and said, let's skip the formalities. I called you here because of the battle between our sect and Xianling's sect. I believe you've heard about it. Seeing that Lu Ping nodded, Master Immortal Lu continued, it's normal for cultivators to fight to the death. However, this incident is related to the sea snake monster that killed Xianling's sect's disciples at the Reef Island. Not only does it involve Xianling's sect, but more importantly, it also involves the distant sea monster clans. We have no choice but to be vigilant. Seeing that Lu Ping was listening attentively, Master Immortal Lu was very satisfied. He continued, both incidents happened very close to your Huangli Island, so you need to pay special attention. I'm afraid that Xianling's sect's Chao clan will not let this matter rest. They will enter Huangli Island's waters to search for the sea snake monster that escaped. Lu Ping was shocked. Xianling's sect thinks that the sea snake monster escaped to my Xianling sect's waters? Master Immortal Lu said, we have to be careful. If that's the case, I, Xianling, will have to step in and punish them for trespassing into our territory without permission. After a short pause, Master Immortal Lu took out a talisman and handed it to Lu Ping. Lu Ping knew that this was a voice transmission talisman made by a blood condensation cultivator. Master Immortal Lu said, we need to increase the number of sea patrols in the near future, especially the area between Huangli Island and Xianling sect. If you find anything, tear this voice transmission talisman. I and the other Master Immortals from Xianqi Island will rush over as soon as possible. Huangli Island was still as peaceful as ever. Lu Ping also started his necessary work, planting spiritual grains in the 7 mu of spiritual fields. Thanks to Lu Ping's new spirit urging technique, the spiritual grain's growth cycle was shortened from 3 months to 2 months. This also gave Lu Ping a new source of income. He persisted in refining pills. With the support of a large amount of spiritual herbs, Lu Ping finally made some progress. Other than the fixed cultivation time, Lu Ping had another task: sea patrols. In fact, the island's master immortals had the duty to patrol the sea. It was just that the frequency and method of the patrols were not limited. But this time, it was different. Chapter 52. Lu Ping's peaceful cultivation life was soon disrupted. About a month later, some fishermen reported to Lu Ping that 50 miles south of Huangli Island, the fishermen had spotted a sea beast that was more than 10 feet long swimming in the sea. Recently, the fishermen on Huangli Island did not dare to fish in that area. 50 miles south is the island where Shang Tao's cave abode is located. Lu Ping's heart skipped a beat. It seems like this sea snake has sensed something. When Master Immortal Lu gave him the mission, Lu Ping suspected that this sea snake was the companion of the previous sea snake. Now, the fisherman's report confirmed Lu Ping's guess. This sea snake must have some kind of secret technique that allowed it to track the location of the previous sea snake and discover where it died. Lu Ping carefully recalled what happened in Shang Tao's cave abode and confirmed that he did not leave any clues behind. Fortunately, this sea snake appeared and fought with Qiao Shiping, who was investigating the cause of his brother's death. This inadvertently confirmed the theory that the Xianling sect disciple was killed by the sea snake. The Qiao family cultivators had already given up on investigating Qiao Shixian's death and focused on killing the sea snake. This inadvertently allowed Lu Ping to escape the Qiao family's suspicion. The next day, Lu Ping went to the island and placed 2 sets of warning talismans around the island to monitor the sea snake that might appear in this area. In fact, Lu Ping was secretly hoping for a fluke. Maybe I can kill this sea snake demon here. This was not impossible. Lu Ping had already learned from Master Immortal Lu that this sea snake had been severely injured by the Qiao family cultivators. For this, the Qiao family had paid the price of 1 dead and 1 injured. This sea snake was at most on par with the one from last time. Last time, he was able to kill a severely injured sea snake demon in a hurry. This time, it was also a severely injured sea snake demon. If he was unprepared, he would definitely be able to kill it. Moreover, compared to a few months ago, whether it was his cultivation or magic tools, he had made significant progress. Not to mention that he still had a talisman treasure as a trump card. Previously, after Lu Ping killed the blood condensation realm sea snake demon, he obtained a huge benefit. This time, Lu Ping subconsciously didn't want the sect's elders to get their hands on these benefits. After placing dozens of landmine talismans on the island, Lu Ping began to wait for the hare to come to him. Half a day later, when Lu Ping was still paying attention to the sea surface 3,000 to 4,000 feet away, a long, sad and angry howl suddenly came from the sea surface several miles away from the island. Then, Lu Ping suddenly felt his whole body tense up, as if cold water had been poured over him from head to toe. The spirit sealing talisman and invisibility talisman suddenly became useless. The sea serpent had arrived. Lu Ping was shocked and angry at the same time. The sea serpent seemed to have calculated his location. He saw a long white wave rising from the sea surface, heading straight in his direction. The warning talismans that he placed on the sea surface earlier suddenly became useless. Lu Ping suddenly came to a realization. This sea snake demon was able to track the dead sea snake demon all the way here. He had personally skinned the dead sea snake demon, so this sea snake demon would naturally be able to recognize him as the murderer. Lu Ping didn't have the time to regret now. The 100-foot-long sea snake monster raised its huge head high and glared at Lu Ping with a cold glint in its eyes. Although Lu Ping had a few ways to escape, it wasn't easy for him to come across one. He didn't plan on running away without a fight. No matter what, he had to weigh his options. Moreover, he had experience fighting against blood condensation realm experts. More importantly, Lu Ping noticed that the aura of this heavily injured sea snake demon was not as strong as the previous one. This was a level 3 blood condensation realm demonic beast. Although it had broken through his previous series of traps, Lu Ping still had a chance. A black stone tower rose up and circled above Lu Ping's head. Yellow light screens extended and extended from the eaves of the tower, as if they would fall down at any time, protecting Lu Ping within. Lu Ping held the flying sword in his hand and faced the approaching sea snake demon. The sea snake demon's angry roars did not turn into attacks. This was a demonic beast that was so calm that it made Lu Ping's heart palpitate. A huge pressure rushed towards Lu Ping. The sea snake's divine sense penetrated Lu Ping's body like water, as if it was trying to see through all of his secrets. The restless magic power finally burst out. Clumps of seawater unimaginably flowed upward, forming a thick and transparent wall of water in front of the sea snake monster. The sea snake monster's figure was faintly discernible on the other side of the wall of water. Lu Ping's expression finally changed. He retreated without hesitation. However, it was too late. The towering water wall collapsed, and a huge wave came crashing towards Lu Ping. Lu Ping, who had nowhere to retreat, had no choice but to defend the stone tower on the reef. He allowed the waves to hit him, but the price he had to pay was that Lu Ping's arcane energy flowed into the stone tower like water. Even though the stone tower was faintly discernible in the waves, it still stood tall. This surprised the sea snake demon. A human cultivator in the blood-refining realm had such a strong arcane energy. Lu Ping was already regretting his carelessness. The last thing he wanted was to face a situation where arcane energy was the deciding factor. However, the sea snake demon seemed to have seen through Lu Ping's intentions. It immediately attacked with a large area of effect, making it impossible for Lu Ping to dodge. Under the swaying stone tower in the huge waves, a sword light flashed like a waterfall, shooting in the direction of the sea snake demon. The waves along the way were split apart by the surging magic power. Lu Ping had to change the current battle of attrition, so he chose to attack. A trace of contempt flashed across the sea snake demon's eyes. However, the power contained in the flying swallow sword made it turn serious. Could it be that this human cultivator really killed its partner? Impossible. Although this human cultivator was in the blood-refining realm, he was still far from being able to kill its fourth-layer blood condensation realm partner. This human cultivator must have seen its partner's corpse before, or he was an accomplice of the blood condensation realm human cultivator who killed its partner. In any case, this human cultivator had to use his life as a sacrifice for its partner. A wave of seawater soared into the sky and turned into a water sword. It collided with the flying swallow sword. Chi. The water sword was shattered, and the flying swallow sword returned to its original position. Lu Ping initially hoped that the attack would distract the sea snake monster, lessening the pressure on him and allowing him to escape from the wave's onslaught. However, the sea snake demon's control of water was extraordinary. Its arcane energy in the blood condensation realm was also incomparable to that of a blood-refining realm cultivator. Lu Ping had miscalculated. Just as Lu Ping's mind raced, trying to think of a way to escape, a long howl came from afar. Before Lu Ping could react, a sword ray had already sliced through the air and flew towards him. Chapter 53. Just as Lu Ping heard the whistling sound and was wondering if the attacker was friend or foe, a ray of sword light pierced through the air and appeared behind Lu Ping. This attack was filled with killing intent and accompanied by the whistling sound. It was no different from a sneak attack, treating both Lu Ping and the sea snake demon as prey. As Lu Ping cried out in shock, the light barrier around the stone tower was cut into pieces by the sword light. The flying swallow sword that he had just recalled was knocked away before he could use it. Lu Ping only had time to throw out 2 supreme-grade talismans before his body was cut by the sword light. Like a kite with its string cut, he fell towards the sea in front of him, spitting out a mouthful of blood that seemed to form a bright red mist on the surface of the sea. Facing the oncoming sword light, the sea snake demon let out a long hiss, as if it was familiar with the attacker and hated it very much. A forked snake-tongue sword flew out of the sea snake demon's mouth, drawing a deep blue arc in the air and colliding with the oncoming white sword light. Intense rumbling sounds rang out, causing the seawater to surge in waves several meters high, crashing onto the reef island. When the waves calmed down a little, only angry roars of pain could be heard on the surface of the sea. The sea snake demon's body kept tumbling, creating layers of ripples on the surface of the sea. There was a wound several inches deep on the sea snake demon's body. Although it wasn't a fatal blow, the gurgling blood still caused severe damage to the sea snake demon. At the same time, there were several old wounds on the sea snake demon's body, most likely from the battle with Xianling sect's Chao family. Its cold, snake-like eyes stared intently at the tall figure standing before it, a furious killing intent radiating out from its eyes. This was the human cultivator who had led a group of cultivators to ambush it back then. It had managed to kill off one of the cultivators and grievously wound the other. After breaking out from the encirclement, it ended up suffering from grievous wounds. Not to mention, this young human cultivator was constantly pursuing it. With great difficulty, the sea snake demon finally shook off the pursuers and used a secret technique to follow its partner's aura to this reef island, discovering that this was the place where its partner was killed. The sea snake demon had been lying in ambush here for 3 days, hoping that the murderer who killed its partner would show up here. Not long after Lu Ping appeared, the sea snake demon discovered him and used a secret technique to confirm that Lu Ping was the murderer it was looking for. Furious, the sea snake demon launched an attack on Lu Ping. However, it didn't expect this puny blood-refining realm cultivator to be so difficult to deal with. Even though the sea snake demon was heavily injured and could only use 70% of its strength, it wasn't something a blood-refining realm cultivator could withstand. Yet, this human cultivator managed to block it. What was even more hateful was that the blood condensation realm cultivator that he had shaken off previously had actually chased after him and attacked him again. The young cultivator standing in the air in front of the sea snake was the eldest son of Xianling sect's Qiao family, Qiao Shiping, the elder brother of senior martial brother Qiao who was killed earlier. Qiao Shiping had a deep relationship with his brother. When he heard that his brother had been killed by the sea snake monster, he brought 2 guards from his family to seek revenge for his brother. Sure enough, when they were close to Zhenling, they found another sea snake demon looking for its partner. Qiao Shiping, who didn't know the truth, naturally thought that this sea snake demon was the murderer of his brother and attacked it. Little did he know that this sea snake demon was actually a green sea snake. This type of spirit snake had a noble bloodline and was the strongest among the monster clans of the same level. After a fierce battle, one of the Qiao family's guards died and the other was injured. Fortunately, he managed to severely injure the spirit snake at the last moment and chased after it. In fact, when he first encountered this spirit snake, Qiao Shiping's heart was already burning with desire. The green sea snake was a noble among the monster clans. If he could kill it and obtain the condensed blood bead from its heart, his chances of breaking through to the 3rd layer of the blood-refining realm would greatly increase. Moreover, his strength would be ranked among the top among the cultivators of the same level. The greedy Qiao Shiping had long placed the thought of avenging his brother's death as his second priority. This was also the reason why he chased after the green sea snake for several days, even though he wasn't at an absolute advantage in terms of strength. If he returned to his family and asked for help, not only would the spirit snake escape, but even if he managed to kill it, he wouldn't be able to keep the condensed blood bead for himself. After 3 days of chasing, Qiao Shiping thought that the green sea snake had already escaped. Just when he was about to give up, he suddenly heard the hissing of the spirit snake. At the same time, he could feel the fluctuations of arcane energy and the roar of spells. Overjoyed, Qiao Shiping sneaked to a place near the reef island and discovered that the spirit snake was actually confronting a Zhenling blood-refining realm disciple. It seemed that the spirit snake was indeed an arrow at the end of its flight. Otherwise, it wouldn't be unable to kill a blood-refining realm disciple. Zhenling was an enemy sect, and the spirit snake was something that he coveted. Naturally, he would kill both of them together. After Qiao Shiping's attack, he realized that the spirit snake wasn't as weak as he had imagined. In other words, Zhenling's disciple wasn't an ordinary blood-refining realm disciple. Qiao Shiping's heart skipped a beat. He released his divine sense and probed the place where Lu Ping had sunk into the sea. When he discovered that Lu Ping was already a lifeless corpse, he finally relaxed. How could an ordinary Zhenling blood-refining realm disciple withstand a full-powered attack from a blood condensation realm cultivator? It seemed like the spirit snake was just a cat toying with a mouse. It didn't expect that he would be the Oriole behind it. Qiao Shiping smiled and focused all his attention on the spirit snake in front of him. The flying sword in Qiao Shiping's hand was a mid-grade mystic artifact. Only when a cultivator reached the blood condensation realm would they be able to unleash the full power of a mystic artifact. Therefore, when cultivators of the same level fought, the quality of the mystic artifact was no longer the main deciding factor. Instead, it depended on the amount of arcane energy used to unleash the full power of the mystic artifact. When a blood condensation realm cultivator used the full power of a mid-grade mystic artifact against a cultivator of the same level who couldn't unleash the full power of a high-grade mystic artifact, the former would usually win. Xiao Shiping was using the profound spirit sky illusion sword technique that only Xian Ling's sect's inner disciples could learn. It focused on the speed and unpredictability of the flying sword, catching the opponent off guard and killing them in a single strike. Under Xiao Shiping's control, a ray of sword light shone brightly like a white piece of silk wrapped around the spirit snake. It slowly tightened, binding the spirit snake within. The green sea snake was the darling of the sea. It was born with a talent for water spells. This spirit snake's water spells had even reached the stage of force. Taking advantage of the geographical advantage, every spell the spirit snake cast felt like it had merged with the sea. It made Xiao Shiping feel like he was fighting against the sea. The spirit snake's snake tongue sword and venomous fang dagger swam among the water spells, constantly resisting Xiao Shiping's flying sword. Occasionally, the spirit snake would break through the encirclement of the flying sword and attack Xiao Shiping. However, the attacks would be blocked by Xiao Shiping's other shield. If it wasn't for the fact that Xiao Shiping heavily injured it earlier, he wouldn't be a match for this sea snake. Self-detonating a condensed blood bead was the price of sacrificing the condensed blood bead in the heart in exchange for a temporary surge of magic power. It was a method to fight with one's life. After self-detonating a few condensed blood beads, one's cultivation would drop by a few layers. Furthermore, the damaged foundation would take several times longer to recover. Using this secret technique was equivalent to giving up on the possibility of improving one's cultivation in the future. Although the spirit snake's counterattack was fierce, it was at a great disadvantage. Right now, it was only a tie. However, there was a time limit to the secret technique. Once the time limit was up, the spirit snake would be at Lu Ping's mercy. Xiao Shiping clearly understood this as well. He gradually calmed down from his previous panic. He didn't want to win, but he wanted to avoid making mistakes. He slowly dragged out the time. The spirit snake roared angrily as Xiao Shiping dragged out the time. The pressure on its body gradually weakened, and the despair in its eyes became more and more intense. On the contrary, Xiao Shiping was no longer as excited as when he was about to win. Lu Ping thought about it and understood that Xiao Shiping was not only here to avenge his brother, but also for the spirit snake's condensed blood beads. Unfortunately, the spirit snake had used the secret technique, so he didn't know how many condensed blood beads were left. Naturally, he felt depressed. As Xiao Shiping's flying sword pierced through the spirit snake's body, the exhausted spirit snake's huge body finally collapsed. It smashed into the sea, creating waves that were tens of feet high. Only then did Xiao Shiping show some joy. He used a spell and dragged the spirit snake's corpse to the reef island. Xiao Shiping used the flying sword to cut open the spirit snake's skin, revealing its heart. After cutting open the heart, two sparkling condensed blood beads appeared. Fortunately, it only self-detonated one condensed blood bead. At that moment, something strange happened. The originally dead spirit snake suddenly raised its head and stared coldly at Xiao Shiping. Its eyes revealed complete madness. Xiao Shiping was startled and was at a loss. At that moment, a condensed blood bead suddenly bounced up and flew towards Xiao Shiping. Xiao Shiping seemed to suddenly understand something. He cried out and hurriedly raised his defensive shield. However, it was too late. The condensed blood bead shrank inwards and suddenly exploded. A red light exploded in all directions, causing half of the reef island to explode. The seawater was pushed back by the force of the explosion by tens of feet. Then, the seawater surged back and formed huge waves that were tens of feet high, like a tsunami. Chapter 55. Xiao Shiping's mid-grade mystic artifact shield was shattered by the blood beads. He spat out a mouthful of blood and was thrown far away. His clothes were torn and tattered, and he looked extremely pathetic. The heavily injured Xiao Shiping couldn't care less about the spirit snake anymore. He quickly took out a few jade bottles from his storage pouch and took out a few pills. But just as he was about to put the pills into his mouth, he was stunned. He didn't know when, but a 3-foot and 3-inch large iron stamp had already risen above his head. The dark iron stamp covered the sky above Qiao Shiping's head, and the power flowing in the iron stamp had painted the two characters' landslide on the bottom of the stamp with streams of dark and ferocious light. Qiao Shiping couldn't care less about the pills that were about to enter his mouth because the landslide was already crashing down on him. Qiao Shiping let out a scream. It was too late to dodge the landslide, so he could only take it head-on. Even though his shield was already broken, a blood condensation realm cultivator still had more than that. A mid-grade mystic artifact in the shape of a tree crown flew out from Qiao Shiping's storage pouch. It turned into a huge tree above Qiao Shiping, shielding him under it. However, there was only a creaking sound as the branches of the tree were all crushed by the landslide. The trunk of the tree was also on the verge of collapse, like a roof beam that could collapse at any time. Qiao Shiping saw that half of his magic tool had been smashed in an instant, and the magic power he had poured out seemed to have hit an iron wall. The rebounding magic power caused his pale face to immediately turn red, and bursts of tightness in his chest made him feel very uncomfortable. Qiao Shiping roared in exasperation. "High-grade mystic artifact. Which shameless bastard attacked me? Aren't you afraid that my Qiao family and Xinling sect will come after you?" As soon as Qiao Shiping finished speaking, a light sound came from the sea. Lu Ping had already flown up to the reef island. At the same time, he waved his hands, and dozens of top-grade blood talismans flew towards Qiao Shiping. Qiao Shiping saw a young cultivator in his late teens leaping out of the water. It was the blood-refining realm cultivator he had ambushed earlier. "It's you. You're still alive?" At this moment, dozens of talismans turned into spells and exploded around Qiao Shiping, causing the protective light around him to tremble. Qiao Shiping sneered. "What a joke. What can these blood-refining realm toys do?" As soon as Qiao Shiping's voice fell, he heard a loud crack. The big tree that was on the verge of collapse finally could not bear the burden and broke completely. "Bastard!" As soon as Qiao Shiping cursed, he spat out a mouthful of blood. This Xinling little bastard actually used a talisman to disperse his magic power, and then destroyed his magic tool. When the two swords collided, the red flying sword suddenly exploded. The huge explosion also blew Qiao Shiping's flying sword into two. Qiao Shiping shouted, "Despicable!" and raised his head. This time, Qiao Shiping, who was already seriously injured, couldn't get up. The mid-grade flying sword was Qiao Shiping's natal magic tool. The so-called natal magic weapon was a weapon forged by a cultivator according to their own cultivation method and physique. It was a weapon that was connected to the cultivator's mind. This kind of weapon would continuously improve along with the cultivator's cultivation. It was a cultivator's most tyrannical final trump card. The seriously injured Qiao Shiping only wanted to kill Lu Ping as soon as possible, so he used his last ability. He didn't expect that the cunning Lu Ping would use a blood sacrifice magic tool to self-destruct. With his natal magic tool destroyed, Qiao Shiping's already seriously injured body finally collapsed like the straw that broke the camel's back. Lu Ping calculated step by step, and Qiao Shiping finally fell into his trap. The cautious Lu Ping didn't step forward. Instead, he used the flying swallow sword to decapitate Qiao Shiping. Only then did he feel at ease and take his storage bag. Lu Ping wanted to take the blood beads from Qiao Shiping's heart, but he didn't want to dissect a human body. The reason why he cut open the sea snake demon's heart was because it was a demonic beast, not a human. Lu Ping thought about it and burned Qiao Shiping's body. In the end, only the magic power contained in the 3 blood beads was left, which Lu Ping put into his storage bag. After Lu Ping finished cleaning up the corpse, he turned around and found that the dying sea snake demon had disappeared. Chapter 56. Actually, when Lu Ping attacked Qiao Shiping, he had already sensed the sea snake monster's departure. The reason why neither of them stopped it, nor did they guard against the possibility of the sea snake monster sneaking up on them, was because both of them knew that the sea snake monster no longer had any arcane energy left. The secret technique and the self-detonation of the blood orbs had already exhausted the sea snake monster's life force. Furthermore, when the sea snake monster left, it left a large trail of blood in the sea, pointing in its direction. Hence, Both of them intended to kill the sea snake monster first, then collect its corpse. Lu Ping chased after the blood trail left by the sea snake monster, heading southwest. Lu Ping chased after the sea snake monster for nearly 100 li before gradually closing in on the sea snake monster. Lu Ping didn't know what made the sea snake monster go so far, even though it knew it was going to die. However, Lu Ping had seen the whole process of the battle between Xiao Shiping and the sea snake monster. He knew that the sea snake monster was quite intelligent. Even in such a disadvantageous situation, it was still able to injure Xiao Shiping. In the end, it ended up benefiting him. Hence, the closer Lu Ping got to the sea snake monster, the more cautious he became. Not to mention, he was already deep in Xianling sect's territory. By now, Lu Ping had already dived for more than 40 zhang. The strong water pressure had already caused Lu Ping's arcane energy to run out. He was only 7 to 8 zhang away from the bottom of the sea. Lu Ping could already see the sea snake monster's curled-up corpse, but he couldn't reach it. Lu Ping saw a 1 zhang wide cave behind the sea snake monster. It was probably its nest. Could it be that there was something in the nest that the sea snake monster couldn't bear to part with? Why did it return to guard the nest even when it was on the brink of death? This sea snake monster was obviously the companion of the sea snake monster he killed last time. Could it be that the nest contained the eggs of the 2 snake monsters' offspring? As he thought of this, Lu Ping's heart burned with passion. However, this short distance of 7 to 8 feet made Lu Ping flinch. Lu Ping was vexed. It seemed like he could only enter the lair after he had successfully condensed his blood. Or perhaps, he would have to find some kind of magical artifact specifically for diving. Fortunately, they were at the bottom of the sea, and the seawater blocked the detection of divine sense. Unless it was a core forging stage Taoist master who specifically searched here, or other cultivators who specifically dived into the sea, ordinary cultivators would find it difficult to find. When Lu Ping emerged from the sea, he memorized the location of this area and hurried back to Huangli Island. If he was discovered by Xianling sect's patrolling cultivators, it would be troublesome. In the blink of an eye, half a month had passed since they returned to Huangli Island. In the cultivation room, Lu Ping was playing with an exquisite storage bag in his hand. It was Xiao Shiping's belongings. This was the second time Lu Ping had obtained a storage bag from a blood condensation cultivator. The first time was when he found an exquisite storage bag in Shang Tao's cave. A blood condensation cultivator's storage bag usually had a small array formation built on the mouth of the bag using their divine sense. Xiao Shiping's storage bag was no exception. Such a storage bag could only be opened by the owner. If it was forcefully opened, it would damage most of the things inside the storage bag. Shang Tao didn't set up an array formation at the mouth of the storage bag because of his inheritance. Therefore, after Lu Ping returned, he had to spend half a month to wear down the array formation at the mouth of the storage bag. Fortunately, Xiao Shiping was dead, and Lu Ping was finally able to open the storage bag completely. It was another harvest moment. Lu Ping cheered himself up. This time, he had suffered heavy losses from the battle with Xiao Shiping. Not to mention the 300 to 400 spirit stones worth of top-grade blood talismans, the 2 blood-sacrificed flying swords that cost another 300 to 400 spirit stones, the stone tower that was heavily damaged by Xiao Shiping's attack, and it would cost nearly 200 spirit stones to repair. The 2 sets of warning talismans and a set of mother-child earth lightning talismans were worth about 500 to 600 spirit stones. There were also 2 top-grade healing pills and spiritual energy replenishing pills. In total, Lu Ping had lost 2,000 spirit stones, and this was not including the cultivation time he had wasted due to his severe injuries. This caused Lu Ping to suck in a breath of cold air. The outcome of a battle between cultivators was not only determined by the level of cultivation, but also by wisdom and courage. At the same time, wealth was also indispensable. Fortunately, Lu Ping's plan was appropriate, and he had successfully killed Xiao Shiping. Lu Ping quickly opened the storage bag. First, there were 24 mid-grade spirit stones and more than 300 low-grade spirit stones. In total, there were nearly 2,800 low-grade spirit stones. In a short while, this was enough to compensate for Lu Ping's losses, and there was still a lot left. After the auction, Lu Ping's wealth had shrunk to a great extent. At least his luxurious cultivation would not be interrupted by the problem of spirit stones. The harvest of the magic tools was pitifully small. One of Qiao Shiping's mid-grade magic tools had been destroyed by the sea snake monster's blood beads, and 2 were broken by Lu Ping. Qiao Shiping only had a mid-grade short spear left, which should be a spare. In addition, there were 2 low-grade magic tools, which Lu Ping naturally did not want. Originally, Lu Ping was wondering if Qiao Shiping would have a high-grade magic tool, but he was naturally disappointed. But after thinking about it carefully, Lu Ping understood the reason behind it. Not to mention the fact that high-grade mystic instruments were much rarer than mid-grade mystic instruments. It was also because Lu Ping was lucky enough to obtain a sufficient amount of high-quality dark iron. In addition, Landslide had a good foundation in the superb craftsmanship of Old Qin and his son. All of these factors allowed Landslide to barely reach the standard of a high-grade mystic instrument. When a cultivator's cultivation reached the blood condensation realm, due to the transformation of their magic power and the emergence of divine sense, they could fully utilize the power of magic tools. However, due to the restriction of the cultivator's own cultivation, mid-grade magic tools were more powerful than high-grade magic tools when used by early blood condensation realm cultivators. After understanding the reason, Lu Ping looked at the few jade slips on the ground. After looking through them one by one, Lu Ping finally discovered something. One of the jade slips recorded Qiao Shiping's cultivation experience in detail, especially the process of breaking through to the blood condensation realm. Lu Ping felt like he had obtained a priceless treasure. At the same time, from the other jade slips, Lu Ping learned that the 2 dead sea snake demons were called green sea snakes. They possessed the purest Jiao bloodline and were nobles among the demon race. Although he didn't know why they built their lair in the sea region between Xinling sect and Jinling sect, Lu Ping felt that this matter was not as simple as it seemed. In fact, it might even cause a huge storm. Lu Ping chuckled. Anyway, no one knew that the 2 sea snakes' deaths were related to him. Even if the sky collapsed, there would naturally be a tall and sturdy person to hold it up. After tidying up the jade slips, Lu Ping looked through the few jade bottles that contained medicinal pills. 2 bottles were spirit energy replenishing pills, and 1 bottle was healing pills. All of them were of high quality. There were also 2 bottles of medicinal pellets. Lu Ping, who had inherited alchemist Shang Tao's legacy, recognized them as the 1,000 ginseng pellet. It was a type of medicinal pellet used by early blood condensation realm cultivators. Its effects were considered ordinary for blood condensation realm cultivators, but even so, not all blood condensation realm cultivators could use it. One had to know that even a large sect like Xinling sect in the North Sea could only allow their blood refining realm disciples to use ordinary medicinal pills like the blood essence pill. Therefore, one could only imagine how precious and valuable the blood condensation realm's medicinal pills were. It could be said that the value of each bottle was not lower than the value of a blood condensation pill. Lu Ping thought about it for a moment. A blood condensation pill was worth about 2,000 spirit stones. If that was the case, then an ordinary early blood condensation pill would be worth 200 spirit stones. That was 10 times the value of a blood vigor pill. If he used it according to the frequency of blood refining realm cultivators, Lu Ping shuddered. He decided to leave this question to himself after he reached the blood condensation realm. At the same time, he was even more determined to learn alchemy. There was only a blue jade bottle left in front of Lu Ping. This bottle was different from the other 5. Lu Ping purposely left it last to see if he could give himself a surprise. Lu Ping gently uncorked the bottle, and a familiar fragrance wafted out. It was a blood condensation pill. Chapter 57. Lu Ping already had 2 blood condensing pills on him. Initially, Lu Ping wanted to prepare 3 blood condensing pills, but he failed due to the public's anger at the auction. Who would have thought that he would be able to obtain 3 blood condensing pills from Qiao Shiping? With 3 blood condensing pills in hand, Lu Ping's chances of breaking through to the blood condensation realm were much higher. In a good mood, Lu Ping placed all the miscellaneous items in Qiao Shiping's storage pouch into his own. In the following few months of cultivation, with a sufficient supply of medicinal pills, Lu Ping's progress could be described as tremendous. Finally, He reached the peak of the 9th layer at the age of 18. After spending 3 months consolidating his foundation, Lu Ping finally decided to attempt the blood condensation realm. Of course, there was something more important than the blood-condensing pills. It was the talisman treasure that Qiao Shiping used. It was a jade talisman crafted by a 3rd-layer core forging realm enlightened master. The silver jade talisman was smooth and translucent. Inside it, 3 white halos resembled mischievous little fishes swimming about. After being used once by Qiao Shiping, this jade talisman could only be used twice. Lu Ping still had the 1st-layer core forging realm talisman he obtained from Qiao Shiping's younger brother, Qiao Xieying. Now, he could only use it once. However, he managed to exchange it for this silver jade talisman treasure. On this day, Lu Ping came to Xinqi Island to pay his respects to Master Immortal Lu. When Master Immortal Lu saw Lu Ping, his eyes lit up and his face lit up with joy. He praised, "Not bad, not bad. Peak of the 9th layer. Your foundation is solid. You can attempt the blood condensation realm now." Lu Ping said respectfully, "This disciple is here to officially request a leave of absence from Master Immortal Lu. I will return to True Spirit Island and prepare to enter the blood condensation realm. I hope Master Immortal Lu will agree." Master Immortal Lu chuckled and said, "It's indeed a big deal. The blood refining realm is only the preliminary stage of becoming a cultivator. Once you've taken this step, you'll finally be considered as a true cultivator and a true disciple of Jinling's sect." Master Immortal Lu paused for a moment before continuing. "Have you made all the necessary preparations for the blood condensation realm? Have you prepared the blood condensation pills? Although those with exceptional talent can successfully condense their blood without the help of the blood condensing pill, the blood condensing pill can not only greatly increase their chances of success, but it can also strengthen their foundations. The benefits are not small." Lu Ping replied, "Disciple previously gathered 8 500-year-old spirit herbs needed to refine a blood-condensing pill. I exchanged them for a blood-condensing pill from the sect." Lu Ping naturally wouldn't reveal his background. Master Immortal Lu waved his hand, and 4 wooden boxes appeared on the ground. He said, "You've been cultivating hard and have a solid foundation. I'm afraid one blood-condensing pill won't be able to completely fuse the spirit blood in your body. Recently, you've been following me in attacking and defending Xinqi Island. The sect naturally recognizes your contributions. These are 4 500-year-old spirit herbs needed to refine a blood-condensing pill. It's your reward. You'll have to figure out how to get the rest. If you gather 8, you can exchange them for a blood-condensing pill. That way, your chances of success will be higher." Lu Ping looked at the 4 wooden boxes on the ground and was overjoyed. He hurriedly thanked Master Immortal Lu. "Disciple just so happens to have a few spirit herbs needed to refine a blood-condensing pill. I was just worried that I didn't have 8. This should be enough." Master Immortal Lu looked at the pleasantly surprised Lu Ping and smiled. "I know you're quite wealthy, but don't forget the principle of not flaunting your wealth." Lu Ping's heart skipped a beat. "Disciple will remember that." Master Immortal Lu continued, "I'm afraid there's going to be a storm in the sea soon. That Xinling sect's Zhao family's descendant has been running around for a while. Do they really think that I, Xinling, don't know what they're up to?" Of course, Lu Ping wouldn't tell Master Immortal Lu that Qiao Shiping had died in his hands. However, from Master Immortal Lu's words, Qiao Shiping must have some ulterior motive for hunting down the spirit snake. Thus, he asked, "Wasn't Qiao Shiping trying to avenge his brother?" Master Immortal Lu sneered. "That's just a ruse. Without Xinling sect's permission, the Qiao family wouldn't have dared to let their descendant hunt down the spirit snake alone. Do they think that I, Xinling, can't see through their ploy? The mighty Xinling sect has lost its drive and is overcautious in its actions. It's no longer befitting of a great sect." After Master Immortal Lu finished speaking, Lu Ping didn't dare to ask what Xinling sect was plotting. Instead, he asked, "Since the situation is tense, will it be a problem for me to leave now?" Master Immortal Lu didn't seem to mind. "Mind your own business. Xinling sect hasn't fallen to the point of scheming against you. Hee, it's funny now that you mention it. Qiao Shiping has been hunting down the spirit snake for months without any news of him. The Qiao family didn't seem to have any reaction either. Who knows, he might even be killed by the spirit snake. Lu Ping knew that his cultivation was still too low to participate in the battle between the two sections. However, when he heard Master Immortal Lu's speculation that Xiao Shiping had been killed, he was still shocked. After that, Master Immortal Lu taught him some things to take note of when breaking through to the blood condensation realm. After that, Lu Ping took his leave. When the disciples of Group 7 heard that Lu Ping was preparing to enter seclusion to break through to the blood condensation realm, they were shocked by Lu Ping's cultivation speed. At the same time, they sent him congratulatory gifts: spirit stones, medicinal pills, spiritual materials, and many other things. There were also some gifts from familiar cultivators from other groups. Among the more valuable gifts were Yao Yong and Du Feng's spiritual herbs for blood condensation pills. Du Feng had also successfully broken through to the blood condensation realm in the past few months. Shi Lingling's gift was the same as Yao Yong's, a blood solidifying pill. With the 4 spiritual herbs from Master Immortal Lu, Lu Ping now had 6 spiritual herbs for the blood condensation pill. On top of that, Lu Ping also obtained 3 spiritual herbs from Xiao Shiping. With this, Lu Ping had gathered enough spiritual herbs for the 4th blood condensation pill. Originally, Lu Ping planned to use the 5 mature spiritual herbs from Shang Tao's spiritual herb garden to make 1 more blood condensation pill. He didn't expect that Lu Ping would receive a reward from the sect. This way, he could save 5 spiritual herbs from the spiritual herb garden. After completing the transaction with the cultivator from Group 11 who had replaced him on Huangli Island, Lu Ping returned to Jinling's side courtyard through the transfer array. He went to Jinling's pill store to exchange for the blood condensation pill. Lu Ping already had 4 blood condensation pills in his possession. Jinling's side courtyard was located at the foot of Jinling Island's Tianling Mountain. The entire mountain was Jinling's headquarters. It was protected by the sect's protective array. The entire mountain was shrouded in a layer of clouds all year round, making it look like a paradise. This Tianling Mountain was a large spirit vein. Jinling had nurtured it for tens of thousands of years to reach its current size. This spirit vein branched off into a small branch at the foot of Tianling Mountain. Jinling used this branch to build Jinling's side courtyard and opened up 24 cultivation rooms on the main branch of this spirit vein. These rooms were specially used for the side courtyard's disciples to enter seclusion when breaking through to the blood condensation realm. Lu Ping's luck was pretty good. When he arrived, a cultivator who had failed the blood condensation realm came out of seclusion and vacated his cultivation room. One had to know that these 24 cultivation rooms were usually highly sought after and rarely ever vacated. Lu Ping paid the blood condensation realm cultivator guarding the cultivation room, which was a maximum of half a year's worth of spirit stones. After paying a total of 500 spirit stones, he finally settled in. The cultivation room was about 2 square meters. The furnishings inside were simple. There was only a praying mat, a small bed, a bamboo chair, and a small bookshelf. There was a spirit gathering array on the ground of the cultivation room, which continuously gathered the spiritual energy from the spirit vein. Lu Ping placed the spirit gathering mat at the heart of the spirit gathering array, causing the spiritual energy in the room to gather again. Sitting on the spirit gathering mat, Lu Ping quietly sensed the dense spiritual energy gathering around him. With the blood vigor pill in his mouth, Lu Ping slowly circulated the blood condensation spirit dissolving technique. He adjusted his condition to the peak and began his final preparations for breaking through to the blood condensation realm. Chapter 58. The blood condensation spirit melting technique was the basic cultivation technique of Jinling sect's blood refining realm cultivators. It was the culmination of dozens of generations of Jinling sect's senior cultivators' hard work. It took into account the cultivator's foundation, talent, cultivation speed, and many other aspects. It was the cultivation technique that most Jinling sect cultivators would choose when they were in the blood refining realm. Lu Ping circulated the blood condensation spirit dissolving technique for 36 cycles. Finally, he reached the peak of the blood refining realm in all aspects. Lu Ping swallowed a blood condensation pill. As soon as the blood condensation pill entered his mouth, it turned into a clear stream that flowed into his stomach. Immediately, an endless amount of arcane energy spread throughout his body. The arcane energy was absorbed by his blood and converted into arcane energy for Lu Ping. The magic power contained a boundless temptation, and it seemed to have ignited the 7 bloodlines in his blood. The 7 bloodlines seemed to have transformed from peaceful partners into irreconcilable gluttons, and they began to fight one another. Lu Ping suddenly felt as if his blood was boiling. Sometimes, it felt like magma was flowing through his veins, and sometimes, it felt like a cold spring was raging in his veins. Sometimes, he felt as if he was floating in the clouds, and sometimes, he felt as if he had fallen into hell. The worst part was Lu Ping's heart. It was beating chaotically as if he was drunk. A moment ago, it was steady and powerful. Now, it was like a storm. Then, it slowed down again. However, it was only pulsating slightly, as if it had gone on strike. If this happened to a mortal, they would have died dozens of times already. Lu Ping knew that this was the beginning of the blood condensation realm. It was the beginning of the transformation of life. Once he passed this stage, he would be able to live for hundreds of years. His cultivation would also be recognized by the cultivation world. That was why Lu Ping persisted. Legend had it that the ancestors of this world were 7 cultivators with profound arcane energy. They were called the 7th patriarch of creation by the later generations. These 7 people were the enlighteners and ancestors of all the cultivators in this world. All the living beings in this world were the descendants of the 7th patriarch of creation. Therefore, these living beings were born with 7 bloodlines. These 7 bloodlines were the rock bloodline, Wan bloodline, tortoise bloodline, ape bloodline, flood dragon bloodline, tiger bloodline, and cicada bloodline. The key to becoming a cultivator and entering the blood refining realm was to successfully awaken the spirit blood in one's body. The level of one's talent depended on the amount of spirit blood in one's blood after awakening, which was the purity of one's bloodline. This degree was divided into 5 grades. Lu Ping's talent was average, and his bloodline purity was only 3rd grade. In the blood refining realm, a cultivator would use their cultivation technique to stimulate the spiritual energy in their bloodline and continuously absorb the spiritual energy from heaven and earth to strengthen themselves. When the cultivator's bloodline was strengthened to its limit, he would reach the peak of the 9th layer blood refining realm. Then, he would attempt to enter the blood condensation realm. The blood condensation realm, as the name suggested, was the process of entering the blood condensation realm. The 7 bloodlines would fight to determine the strongest bloodline, which would become the foundation bloodline of the cultivator in the future. Only then would the cultivator enter the 1st layer of the blood condensation realm. After that, the foundation bloodline would absorb the spiritual energy of the other 6 bloodlines and expel the wasted bloodlines out of the body. At the same time, after every 2 bloodlines were expelled, the cultivator would have to fuse with another bloodline with the same attribute as the foundation bloodline to make up for the lost bloodline. This was the process of cultivating the blood condensation realm. Therefore, the cultivation of the blood condensation realm was divided into 3 stages, with a total of 9 stages. Each stage was the process of expelling the wasted spirit blood in the body, and the breakthrough of the 3 stages was the process of replenishing the spirit blood in the body. This was also the reason why Qiao Shiping was so determined to obtain the green sea snake's condensed blood bead. The condensed blood bead was the condensation of the spirit blood essence, and it contained sufficient spiritual energy. Qiao Shiping could use it to replenish his bloodline and easily break through to the mid-blood condensation realm. At this time, the battle between the 7 bloodlines in Lu Ping's body was getting more and more intense. However, Lu Ping still felt that this level of intensity was far from Lu Ping's limit. Lu Ping knew that this was due to his relatively strong foundation. Therefore, Lu Ping put the 2nd condensed blood pill into his mouth. A few days later, he swallowed the 3rd condensed blood pill. At this time, Lu Ping had been in closed-door cultivation for almost a month. During this month, the chaotic battle between the bloodlines in his body caused Lu Ping to suffer greatly. Even though Lu Ping had prepared himself from Qiao Shiping's cultivation experience, Master Immortal Lu's explanation, and Yao Yong and Du Feng's explanations, the stronger his foundation was, the more intense the battle between the bloodlines in his body became. After consuming 3 condensed blood pills in a row, the battle between the bloodlines in his body became even longer than the time it took for a normal cultivator to break through to the blood condensation realm. It could be said that the pain that Lu Ping experienced during his breakthrough was unbearable for normal cultivators. Without pain, there would be no gain. The greater the pain, the greater the gain. At this time, the battle between the bloodlines in Lu Ping's body had reached its most intense stage. The outcome of which bloodline would become his foundation bloodline would soon be revealed. At this time, Lu Ping's mind was in a state of chaos. Like a movie, some of the things that he had almost forgotten became clear again. They flashed across Lu Ping's eyes in chronological order. Lu Ping knew that this was the prelude to the blood condensation realm and the birth of the divine sense. When Lu Ping secretly watched the battle between the green sea snake and Xiao Shiping, the scene of the green sea snake's control of water spells, and the scene of the sea's waves fusing with the power of the sea suddenly appeared in Lu Ping's mind. Lu Ping suddenly had an epiphany. This epiphany allowed him to reach the realm of force in the usage of water spells just as he was about to break through to the blood condensation realm. Lu Ping had not woken up from his epiphany, but the battle between the bloodlines in his body was affected by it. Just as Lu Ping was comprehending the realm of force, a type of bloodline suddenly fused with this realm and displayed its might. It defeated the other 6 bloodlines one by one and established its position as the foundation bloodline. The battle in his body gradually calmed down. The other 6 bloodlines that had lost gathered around this bloodline, like stars surrounding the moon. The bloodline flowed through his veins and slowly synchronized with his heartbeat. At the same time, the magic energy in the foundation bloodline underwent a transformation. A large amount of spiritual energy was absorbed by the foundation bloodline. The 3 blood condensation pills contained a large amount of spiritual energy, but it was still far from enough. The spiritual energy in the cultivation room was continuously absorbed by Lu Ping's bloodline. The spirit-gathering formation and spirit-gathering mat on the ground continuously gathered spiritual energy from the spirit vein and sent it into Lu Ping's body. At this time, Lu Ping was like a limitless ocean, greedily absorbing every bit of spiritual energy. Outside the cultivation room, a spiritual energy whirlpool formed, attracting the attention of the blood condensation cultivators in the Zhonling side hall. Another disciple has advanced to the blood condensation realm. Not bad, not bad. There have been quite a few disciples who have advanced recently. I wonder which team's disciple it is. From the looks of it, his foundation is not bad. It's not just not bad. Such a huge spiritual energy whirlpool can be considered strong. At this time, Lu Ping naturally did not know that he had alerted the blood condensation cultivators outside. If these cultivators knew that Lu Ping could form a spiritual energy whirlpool after consuming 3 blood condensation pills, who knew what kind of reaction they would have? Chapter 59. Lu Ping, who had just woken up from his epiphany, discovered that the battle between the 7 bloodlines had already ended. His foundation bloodline had successfully taken control of his blood circulation. As his blood circulated, spiritual energy was constantly absorbed and condensed. When the spiritual energy passed through his heart, it would constantly split into strands of magic energy, opening up a space in his heart. Slowly, it would condense into a bead of blood. This was the condensed blood bead. When the bead of blood was condensed, it was the size of a soybean. As the foundation bloodline continued to condense, the size of the condensed blood bead would also increase. At this moment, Lu Ping finally came to a realization. He could now clearly see the situation within his body. This meant that Lu Ping had developed a divine sense. Lu Ping impatiently spread out his divine sense. He felt his mind become clear. Everything within the cultivation room had already entered Lu Ping's mind. Lu Ping was overjoyed. He slowly spread his divine sense out of the cultivation room. With his eyes closed, Lu Ping could clearly see everything within a radius of about 20 zhong. This shocked Lu Ping. Lu Ping understood that after a cultivator advanced to the blood condensation realm, their divine sense would generally be able to cover a radius of about 10 zhong. Even if someone was talented and had a powerful divine sense, they would only be able to cover a radius of 1 or 2 zhang. It was impossible for their divine sense to double that range. This made Lu Ping secretly happy. At the same time, he was also secretly on guard. He could not let others know that his divine sense was naturally powerful. This was already one of his trump cards. Actually, Lu Ping had his own guesses about how powerful his divine sense was. He was not a person of this world. Coming here was actually the fusion of 2 souls. Therefore, it was normal for his divine sense to be twice as strong as an ordinary person's. This could be considered a compensation for his transmigration. However, he still needed to find a method to cultivate his divine sense. This way, he could conceal the unimaginable strength of his divine sense. At the same time, he could continuously strengthen his advantage in divine sense. After making up his mind, Lu Ping focused all his attention on consolidating his spiritual energy after advancing to the blood condensation realm. The reason why Lu Ping rented this cultivation room for the longest period of time was because he needed to spend a lot of time consolidating his cultivation after breaking through to the blood condensation realm. At this time, Lu Ping already knew that his foundation bloodline was the water-type Jiao bloodline. Perhaps it was due to Lu Ping's enlightenment in the force realm. Lu Ping's water Jiao bloodline showed its might at the last moment, defeating the other 6 bloodlines and solidifying its position as his foundation bloodline. Through his divine sense, other than the water-type Jiao bloodline, Lu Ping's other 6 bloodlines were the wind element Peng bloodline, wood element Wan bloodline, water element Tortoise bloodline, earth element 8 bloodline, ice element Tiger bloodline, and fire element Cicada bloodline. Lu Ping couldn't help but smile bitterly. His luck was really bad. Only the Tortoise bloodline and Tiger bloodline were compatible with the Jiao bloodline. Merging these 2 bloodlines would save him a lot of time and energy. It would also be very beneficial to his cultivation. On the other hand, during the process of merging the other 4 bloodlines, not only would it take a lot of energy, a slight mistake would affect the purity of the foundation bloodline. This directly affected how far Lu Ping could go on the path of cultivation. After all, Lu Ping was aiming for longevity. Just as Lu Ping calmed down and used his divine sense to observe the circulation of the bloodlines in his body, the 7 bloodlines that were originally divided into primary and secondary bloodlines suddenly changed. The sudden change in the bloodlines caught Lu Ping off guard. The dominant Jiao bloodline suddenly attacked the Tortoise bloodline. This caused the other bloodlines that had calmed down after entering the blood condensation realm to suddenly become restless. Lu Pingyuan thought that it was because he had accumulated too much energy. In addition to the 3 blood-condensing pills, the Flood Dragon bloodline in his body needed to fuse with the Turtle bloodline. This would expel the Turtle bloodline from his body, allowing him to advance directly to the 2nd level of the blood condensation realm. Although this kind of situation was rare, it wasn't unprecedented. However, Lu Ping soon discovered that he was wrong. The Jiao bloodline that provoked the Jiao bloodline didn't want to merge with the Tortoise bloodline's magic power. Instead, it wanted to completely devour the Tortoise bloodline. If merging with the Tortoise bloodline's magic power would cause the Tortoise bloodline to become useless, but the Tortoise bloodline would still exist. At the same time, the merged foundation bloodline would more or less have some characteristics of the Tortoise bloodline. This kind of devouring would completely plunder the Tortoise bloodline's magic power without leaving any traces. In other words, Lu Ping's body would no longer have the Tortoise bloodline. This kind of overbearing devouring naturally caused the Tortoise bloodline to resist fiercely. After all, the 7 bloodlines were only fighting to determine the winner and the loser. It wasn't like now, where they were fighting to the death. Not only was the Tortoise bloodline struggling fiercely, the other 5 bloodlines also felt threatened and became restless. They seemed to be working together to resist the devouring of the foundation bloodline. At that moment, Lu Ping suddenly felt like he was losing control of his bloodline. His divine sense and the foundation bloodline were closely connected. Lu Ping could deeply feel that his foundation bloodline had a mysterious power. This mysterious power existed in the foundation bloodline with the birth of his divine sense. It was as if it was innate with his soul. Lu Ping suddenly realized that this mysterious power might have a lot to do with him coming to this world. This thought only flashed through Lu Ping's mind. Lu Ping no longer paid attention to this because the battle between the two bloodlines had reached a climax. Although the Foundation bloodline had the upper hand, it would not be able to devour the Tortoise bloodline in a short period of time. Even if the Foundation bloodline succeeded in devouring the Foundation bloodline, its vitality would be greatly damaged. This would affect his cultivation. As Lu Ping thought of this, he took out his last condensed blood pill and gritted his teeth. Success or failure would depend on this. After swallowing the fourth condensed blood pill, it instantly turned into surging vitality and was absorbed by the Foundation bloodline. With this boost, the Foundation bloodline's vitality increased and gradually devoured the Tortoise bloodline. Lu Ping felt the magic power in his body increase by 1-fold. The condensed blood bead in the space in his heart immediately grew from the size of a soybean to the size of a peanut. Lu Ping's every movement was accompanied by strong magic power. It was as if his words were the law. The excited Lu Ping momentarily forgot whether the bloodline mutation would bring about unknown problems. He only felt that he had never been so confident before. Very quickly, Lu Ping awoke from the excitement of the bloodline mutation. Only then did he realize that although his magic power had doubled, his cultivation had not reached the second layer of the blood condensation realm. There was still only one condensed blood bead in the space in his heart. It was just that this condensed blood bead was a little bigger than usual. Although this situation made it so that Lu Ping had few opponents in the same realm as him, his strong foundation also meant that if Lu Ping wanted to improve his cultivation, he would need to spend much more time polishing his magic power than ordinary cultivators. Out of the 7 bloodlines, one of Lu Ping's bloodlines was gone without a breakthrough. He did not know if this would affect his cultivation in the future. There are gains and losses. At least in the long run, a strong foundation was the foundation for him to walk further on the path of immortality. However, he had to race against time. Before his lifespan ended, he had to enter the next level of cultivation and win a longer lifespan. Lu Ping could only comfort himself this way. Chapter 60. By now, Lu Ping had been in seclusion in the cultivation room for 2 months. Lu Ping spent another 2 months stabilizing his blood condensation cultivation before coming out. Lu Ping could have used the spirit vein here to cultivate for 6 months, but Lu Ping didn't have a blood condensation cultivation technique yet, so he couldn't continue. The blood condensation spirit melting scripture was an excellent cultivation technique for blood refining realm cultivators, but it wasn't suitable for blood condensation realm cultivators. Although he managed to consolidate his cultivation base in the past 2 months, he didn't make much progress. Hence, Lu Ping had no choice but to end his closed-door cultivation early. After coming out, Lu Ping was quickly brought to True Soul Side Hall's dean, enlightened Master Xian Yong's residence. Lu Ping didn't know if every blood condensation disciple would receive an audience with enlightened Master Xian Yong, but this was Lu Ping's first time meeting a core forging enlightened master alone. Although he had seen him before, he was too far away and couldn't see him clearly. Enlightened Master Xian Yong still had that kind and amiable look on his face. When he saw Lu Ping coming forward to greet him, his eyes lit up and he laughed happily. "Isn't this the head of our side hall's famous 7 ferocious? You're indeed outstanding. Not bad." Seeing that enlightened Master Xian Yong was amiable, Lu Ping's nervousness for meeting a core forging enlightened master was forgotten. Hearing enlightened Master Xian Yong's praise, he also laughed. "You flatter me, enlightened master. This disciple is slow-witted, and it's all thanks to immortal Master Lu's strict teachings. The other seniors have also helped this junior a lot." Enlightened Master Xian Yong saw that Lu Ping's expression was at ease. He was very satisfied and said, "Lu Ziyuan is very good at leading Group 7. 3 of our third-rank disciples have already reached the blood condensation realm. I heard that there's a female disciple in your group called Lingling who also has a high chance of reaching the blood condensation realm." Enlightened Master Xian Yong said, "Yes, senior sister Lingling is talented and has helped this junior a lot." Enlightened Master Xian Yong didn't say much about this. Since you're already a blood condensation cultivator, you naturally have the status of an inner disciple. But remember, you can't slack off. The blood condensation realm is only the beginning of true cultivation. Enlightened Master Xian Yong then told Lu Ping some interesting stories about the cultivation world. Most of the time, it was enlightened Master Xian Yong talking while Lu Ping listened attentively. Sometimes, enlightened Master Xian Yong would ask Lu Ping for his opinion on certain cultivation matters. Lu Ping pondered for a moment and then told enlightened Master Xian Yong his opinion. Enlightened Master Xian Yong didn't say anything and only nodded with a smile. Lu Ping didn't know if his answer was a test from the sect, so he could only tell the truth. In the end, enlightened Master Xian Yong talked about Lu Ping's cultivation. He asked what kind of bloodline Lu Ping's foundation was and what element it was. After hearing Lu Ping's answer, he muttered, "The water element flood dragon bloodline. Our sect has been around for tens of thousands of years, and we have a complete set of cultivation techniques for all types of bloodlines and elements. However, there are different levels of cultivation techniques, and their characteristics are different. You have to be careful when choosing." Lu Ping's heart tightened. He knew that this was the most important part of today's conversation. He quickly asked, "Enlightened Master, please enlighten me." Enlightened Master Xian Yong smiled. "Our sect has 5 true inheritances, which are said to be able to cultivate to the supreme spirit transformation realm. However, only our predecessor, Tai Shen Laozu, reached this realm 8,000 years ago with the mysterious ape water manipulation technique. The mysterious ape water manipulation technique is the top of the 5 inheritances. The other 4 inheritances were collected and perfected by our predecessors at great cost. In the past tens of thousands of years, our sect has only produced 1 spirit transformation cultivator, Tai Shen Laozu. However, these 4 inheritances were also used by cultivators outside our sect to cultivate to the spirit transformation realm. Otherwise, our predecessors wouldn't have spent so much effort to collect them." Lu Ping never knew that Zhenling had such a secret. He knew that it was because he was now an inner disciple and his status had risen. Enlightened Master Xian Yong continued, "Among the 5 inheritances, there is a cultivation method for the flood dragon bloodline, but it is suitable for the wind and fire attributes. It does not match your water attribute." When Lu Ping heard enlightened Master Xian Yong's words, he was immediately filled with disappointment. Enlightened Master Xian Yong saw Lu Ping's expression and knew what he was thinking, so he said, "You don't have to be discouraged. All the cultivation methods in the world lead to the same goal. After all, it is the inheritance of the 7th patriarch. Although our sect does not have a cultivation method for the water flood dragon bloodline to reach the spirit transformation realm, we do have a cultivation method for the water flood dragon bloodline to reach the law phase realm." Enlightened Master Xian Yong paused for a moment and then said, "If you have the determination to reach the spirit transformation realm, you can complete the cultivation method yourself. At that time, our sect will have 6 inheritances and our foundation will be even deeper. You can also leave your name in history and let the younger generation of Zhenling disciples admire you." When Lu Ping heard enlightened Master Xian Yong say this, he understood that he would not lose the chance to reach the spirit transformation realm because of the attribute of his bloodline. However, perfecting this cultivation method was very difficult. Zhenling had only produced 1 spirit transformation cultivator and had only collected 5 complete cultivation methods to reach the spirit transformation realm. This showed how difficult it was. When he walked out of enlightened Master Xian Yong's residence, Lu Ping already had a Zhenling sect inner disciple jade token in his hand. This token was the symbol of an inner disciple and also the proof to enter and exit Zhenling sect's territory, Tianling Mountain. Under the guidance of one of enlightened Master Xian Yong's disciples, Lu Ping flew toward Heaven Spirit Mountain. After entering the blood condensation realm, one of the obvious characteristics was that Lu Ping could no longer fly with the help of magic treasures. Lu Ping was clearly not used to this method of flying. Enlightened Master Xian Yong's disciple, Wu Xinyu, flew in the air with his clothes fluttering in the wind. He looked like a celestial being, but Lu Ping was swaying in the air like a kite with a broken string. After adjusting with great difficulty, Lu Ping smiled at Wu Xinyu, who was waiting for him in front of him. "I've let immortal Master Wu see a joke. Disciple has just reached the blood condensation realm, so I'm really not used to it yet." Wu Xinyu smiled. "Junior brother is already not bad. When I reached the blood condensation realm, I was even worse than you. It took me a day to get used to it. By the way, junior brother is already a blood condensation cultivator, so you shouldn't call yourself a junior anymore. Lu Ping agreed. Senior martial brother, you're right. In the blink of an eye, the two of them arrived at Tianling Mountain's entrance. They flashed their identity tokens, and the clouds surrounding Tianling Mountain parted, revealing a path up the mountain. There were two blood condensation realm cultivators at the entrance. Clearly, they knew Wu Xinyu. After greeting him, the two of them entered the depths of Tianling Mountain. This was Lu Ping's first time at Heaven Spirit Mountain, so he was naturally very curious. Wu Xinyu also understood this, so he didn't walk very fast. Heaven Spirit Mountain forbade blood condensation cultivators from flying. This allowed Lu Ping to enjoy the scenery as much as he wanted. Chapter 61. In fact, Lu Ping was a little disappointed. In his imagination, Junling was a big sect in the North Sea, so its base should be filled with pavilions, terraces, and towers. However, in Lu Ping's eyes, Tianling Mountain looked like a big farm. Along the way, the spiritual energy on Tianling Mountain was naturally very dense. However, other than the caves built by Junling's disciples, the rest of the places were all opened up into various spiritual herb gardens. There were all kinds of spiritual herbs and spiritual materials planted in them. The spiritual herb gardens were protected by all kinds of arrays, but these arrays weren't very strong. It was obvious that they were only to prevent cultivators from the mountain from entering by mistake. Wu Xinyu looked at Lu Ping's expression and smiled. How is it? Are you disappointed? To be honest, I was also very surprised when I came here for the first time. I didn't expect the famous Junling to have such a simple base. Indeed, Lu Ping said. Wu Xinyu continued. The reason is very simple. It's because of the lack of cultivation resources. Therefore, every place where spirit energy converges must be developed into a place to grow all kinds of spirit materials. Because Tianling Mountain has a large spirit vein, there are countless spirit energy converging points on the mountain. Therefore, other than using these spirit energy converging points to build abodes for our sect's disciples, the rest must be used to build gardens for spirit herbs, spirit grains, and so on. After listening to Wu Xinyu's explanation, Lu Ping's heart was moved. He had a direct understanding of the cultivation world. Even things that he couldn't understand before seemed to have become clear. The two talked as they walked, and soon, they reached the waist of the mountain. Tianling Mountain had a large spiritual vein, so the whole mountain was divided into 3 levels. The spiritual energy at the foot of the mountain was the weakest, and it was where the blood condensation cultivators' caves were located. The waist of the mountain was rich with spiritual energy, and it was where the core forging cultivators cultivated. The entire spiritual vein was located at the top of the mountain, and only Dharma manifestation cultivators or high-level core forging cultivators could occupy that place. Halfway up the mountain, there was a large hall made of green bricks and tiles. It had the aura of an immortal. Wu Xinyu pointed at the hall and said, "Here we are. This is the place where the sect handles the daily affairs. You will have to do everything here to become an inner disciple." Lu Ping looked at the rather elegant hall and asked, "Is the sect master of our sect also here?" Wu Xinyu slapped his head and said, "I forgot to tell Junior that our sect doesn't have a sect master. Everyday matters are handled by the Heaven's Spirit Hall. The truly important matters of the sect are decided by the Laozu." Wu Xinyu led Lu Ping to a room in the back of the palace. He said to Lu Ping, "For the past year, Martial Uncle Xian Yuan has been on duty in the palace. Martial Uncle Xian Yuan is the same as my master, a 3rd-layer core forging cultivator." Wu Xinyu knocked on the door and said, "Martial Uncle Xian Yuan, Disciple Wu Xinyu and Lu Ping are here to see you." A lazy voice came from inside the room. "Come in. I've heard you chattering outside for half a day." Wu Xinyu smiled at Lu Ping. The two of them walked into the room. Lu Ping saw a middle-aged cultivator with sleepy eyes sitting behind a table. He was leaning against a chair, holding a large wine gourd in his right hand. He was drinking from it, and his left hand was flipping through a book with great interest. This originally rather contradictory scene seemed to be very harmonious with enlightened Master Xian Yuan's every action, revealing a unique charm. Wu Xinyu walked up and smiled. "Are you still reading a novel, martial uncle?" Then he pointed at Lu Ping and said, "This junior brother is a new blood condensation cultivator from the side hall. Master told me to bring him here for martial uncle to see, so that you can choose a cultivation technique." Enlightened Master Xian Yuan chuckled. "You're here to trouble me, aren't you?" He raised his head and looked at Lu Ping. Lu Ping suddenly felt as if he had been seen through by Enlightened Master Xian Yuan. Enlightened Master Xian Yuan continued, "Not bad. Your foundation is solid, your magic power is strong, and you're young. You're a good seedling. What bloodline do you have?" Lu Ping answered, "Disciple has the water attribute Flood Dragon bloodline." Enlightened Master Xian Yuan smacked his lips, then took a sip of wine. "Water Flood Dragon bloodline?" Lu Ping waited for Enlightened Master Xian Yuan to continue, but Wu Xinyu had already walked up to him with a smile. He handed over 10 spirit stones and said, "Martial uncle, please give me some pointers." Lu Ping had a strange expression on his face. Why would a core forging cultivator care about 10 spirit stones? Enlightened Master Xian Yuan ignored Lu Ping's expression and said, "Our sect has a total of 19 cultivation techniques for the Water Flood Dragon bloodline. Other than the 8 that are only perfected up to the blood condensation stage, there are 7 that are for the core forging stage, and 4 for the manifestation stage. Which one would you like to choose?" This time, there was no need for Wu Xinyu to remind him. Lu Ping quickly handed over 10 spirit stones and said, "Disciple is slow-witted. Please give me some pointers, martial uncle." Enlightened Master Xian Yuan weighed the spirit stones in his hand and said, "You are a promising young man." He took a sip of wine and said, "Let's not talk about the 8 blood condensation techniques. Out of the 7 techniques for the core forging stage, 2 are pure water attribute techniques. The other 5 have different attributes, such as using metal to supplement water, water to supplement wood, wind and water, ice and water, and metal, water, and wood at the same time. They are all different, but they all focus on water." Enlightened Master Xian Yuan took a sip of wine to moisten his throat and said, "As for the manifestation stage, only one of them is a pure water attribute technique. The other 3 are similar to what I've said before, but the method of cultivation is different, but the principle is the same." When Enlightened Master Xian Yuan finished, Lu Ping asked, "Which is better, the pure water attribute technique or the other water attribute techniques?" Enlightened Master Xian Yuan chuckled and continued to drink. Lu Ping understood and quickly handed over another 10 spirit stones. Enlightened Master Xian Yuan praised him again. "You have a good eye." He then said, "It's very difficult to cultivate a technique to perfection. It depends on the person using it. A pure water attribute technique is valuable because of the word pure, but this word pure is also very difficult to achieve. The other techniques, on the other hand, are based on the word change. If you combine it well, you will be able to change into a myriad of forms, which is also a great advantage in a battle." Enlightened Master Xian Yuan changed his tone and said, "However, to be fair, if a pure water attribute technique can achieve the word pure, its power will be superior to the other techniques. However, this word, pure, is the most difficult to achieve. It requires perseverance, and even luck. Furthermore, a pure water attribute technique focuses on getting rid of the impurities and extracting the essence. It's slower to cultivate compared to other techniques, but it's easier to break through the bottlenecks of each stage of cultivation." As he finished, Enlightened Master Xian Yuan looked at Lu Ping and asked, "Young man, have you made up your mind?" Lu Ping was speechless. He didn't think that there would be so many twists and turns. This was the advantage of being a disciple of a sect compared to a non-sect cultivator. It could save a lot of trouble. A non-sect cultivator would have to figure it out on their own. If they weren't careful, they could make a huge mistake and never be able to turn back. You're tuning into the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.